kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome everybody to Wild Earth. My name is Graham Wallington and I'm the CEO and founder of Wild Earth. And today we are so privileged to be able to contribute into the virtual bird fair today. It's a historic event. Of course, this is the first time it's been virtual, and we're super proud for that opportunity. Today, we're going to be taking you on a ride across Africa, a safari in Africa, and we're really excited. We've got two teams in the MAASAI Mara in Kenya, one being driven by David and the other by Isaac, two local Kenyan guides with an immense amount of experience and a deep love for the MAASAI Mara. Of course, at the moment, it's super exciting. No problem. Sorry about that, everybody. Apologies. I'm doing this from my home, and I think there may have been some internet problems there. Apologies. But basically, we've got
This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello everybody, welcome to Djuma. We have got a Birchall's starling running around in the road. My name is Steve and we are going to be doing some birding this afternoon. And welcome to your live digital safari. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome again to Djuma Private Game Reserve in the SABI Sands, where it is a wonderful 29 degrees Celsius, 72 degrees Fahrenheit. It is a nice, balmy afternoon. The sun is shining, and there is a little bit of wind. My name is Steve, and I'm joined by BK Okama, and we are very excited to have you with us. And a very special warm welcome to the Bird Fair viewers over in the UK who are watching right now. And what's of interest to that is we are going to be doing our first hour this afternoon focusing on birds. Now, before I explain the reasons and details behind that, any questions and comments, please send them through to #WildEarth. Throw them in the YouTube chat stream or put them in on Twitch, whichever one you prefer. Okay, so Djuma and Mara will be going head-to-head this afternoon on birding. Okay, so the bird needs to be put on camera. The same bird for each guide can be counted, but each guide has to give 3 different facts per bird, and you can't count a bird twice. It's very straightforward. 1 bird equals 1 point. So the Birchall starling is one of our glossy starlings. They are a cavity nesting bird. They are also a percher. They spend a lot of time on the ground walking around, feeding on insects and fruit. And this Birchall starling being one of the most common that we find in the area, with a much longer tail and a dark eye, sets it apart from the greater blue-eared starling and the Cape glossy starling that we find in this area as well. So that's number 1. And just over here on the left-hand side, we have got some ground nesting birds in the form of the crowned lapwing. Now, crowned lapwings have got no back toe. They walk around on the ground. They love these open areas, and they are very, very formidable. They will actually chase large birds, or should I say large mammals, around in protection of their nests. So we're going to be continuing on this afternoon with some birds. Let's see what else we can find.
Jumbo Jumbo, hello, and a very good afternoon to all of you, wherever you are in the world, and welcome to Kenya in the MAASAI Mara Game Reserve. And I'm sure Steve has already told you what's happening today, and that is our first bird right there, because this is going to be a very big day. We are going to compete 2 teams, one team in South Africa, I think is around Djuma, and the other team will be in Kenya. My name is David, nothing has changed, and with me on camera this afternoon is Bungay. Bungay, how are you? And Bungay and myself, we want to combine forces and see whether we can beat those guys. So we're also requesting you out there, if you see a bird on the screen that will miss, please let us know. David, you just missed that small lapwing there, or that small weaver. Our first bird for today is what you're seeing there, and that is a long-crested eagle. Long-crested eagle is a raptor. It's not very hot, and that's why maybe you see it out patched there. We are talking of 26 degrees Celsius or 79 degrees Fahrenheit. Remember, questions and comments are very, very welcome. #WildEarth. Right, this bird eats rats. It will also eat mice, and I want to say why she is there is because she is also looking underneath in the grass for any movement. So what she will do, she'll wait very patiently for anything to move in the grass, and then she just flies down and slowly picks it up and patch up there and feed on it. Now, I want to show Bungay another bird. I think even he has seen it before looking at it. And we're very lucky to spot two birds in the same place. And that is a sooty chat, and it's a male. So in our competition, I could be wrong, but I think Steve Ovo had spotted two species, and I think we are up to the match because we also got a sooty chat there, and it's male, and it's male because of the white you see on the wings. So hopefully we are not doing bad. We got two species there, and Bungay, we got a huge. Ooh, see what can catch them. We just missed a huge flock of birds there, but they just flew away. Not sure they will count, but hopefully we're going to see them on the other side.
Ooh, the competition is on. I've got a lilac-breasted roller to start things off on this side. It's been very good. It was sitting around the whole time you were up in the Mara. I thought, please stay. And it did. My name's Rochelle, and I've got Theo on camera this afternoon. Quite lovely and warm out here on Djuma, as I'm sure you heard from Steve. And our lilac-breasted roller is still staying put, which is just amazing. Now, you can't see the colors too well at the moment because of the position of the sun, but it is very, very colorful. I'd say a total of maybe 8 colors. There's black, there's white, there's dark blue, there's light blue, there's green, there's brown, browny orange. It's lilac as well. And then it's got yellowy legs and black and white also, if I didn't mention those. Pretty extravagant looking birds and absolutely gorgeous. Now, these guys are monogamous. So they have one partner for the breeding season, and they tend to nest in little hollows and holes in trees. And that would be exciting to find some of these guys' eggs, wouldn't it? They're insectivorous, so they're always perched at the top, and sometimes you'll see them following large herbivores, especially elephants, to catch little insects as they flush them out and they feed. Very, very obliging roller. Now they do a spectacular courtship display as well, where they go up into the sky and roll, hence the name, and the females just love it.
Look at this fantastic little lizard. Oh, and by the way, good afternoon. Sorry, I'm jumping around you. Good afternoon. It's amazing having you all with us at Tswalu Kalahari. David on camera, my name's Dylan. It is great having you with us. Let's go back to our lizard, if we can find him. Is there in that hole somewhere? There we go, Sauron in his burrow. Look, he looks like he's grumpy about something. Or is that just my imagination? So that is a groundagama, a southern groundagama, and you can see why they get the name groundagama. It's obviously living in the ground. You get other ones here called rockagamas, and typically they are found up in the hills amongst the rocks. But what a gorgeous little thing. But what I'm really loving about what we're seeing here is the fact that this little cold-blooded animal is sitting down in the shade of that burrow. And that is very, very, very significant in terms of thermoregulation. Remember, these are ectotherms, which means that they need to get their body temperature, or most of it, from external conditions. Okay? An endotherm would be something like a warm-blooded animal or a bird, that's getting it's generating its own heat. These little guys really are at the mercy of the external temperatures, the ambient temperatures. So by sitting in that burrow over there, that's telling you that actually the sand now is probably quite hot. Today's, I don't know what the temperatures are, I'm guessing it's probably 24, 25. So we're starting to climb towards the summer temperatures now. And this little guy would probably come out properly a little bit later, maybe another hour or so, as the temperature just starts tapering off. Yes, he looks quite sleepy. He's not the only one. Just shows how much life there is down little holes and burrows in the Kalahari. Never, never, never take it for granted. Yeah, well, we are on an art wolf mission today, so we're going to leave this little chap and carry on seeing if we can find one of those puppies.
Aardwolf, that is still on my bucket list. I would love to see one. But back here on Zoom, everybody, we've got some wonderful helmeted guinea fowl that are in a nice little flock, little scratching around on the ground, looking for all sorts of insects, seeds, whatever they can dig up, corms, digesting organic material. They love elephant dung. These guys will nest in little bushes underneath sort of a dense bush, lined with some leaves and some grass, and regarded as some of the hardest eggs for their size. Helmeted guinea fowl, the adults with their blue head, and the youngsters lack the blue head. So most of these are last seasons, all coming in to maturity. And then ahead of us, in front there at 12 o'clock PK, who's just running around past the little stump. And we've got the common and always seen, the southern red-billed hornbill, which is not the southern ground hornbill, Emma, unfortunately, but we would love to find you one of them. Now, the hornbills are also cavity nesters. These guys walk around on the ground, feeding on fruits, insects, all sorts of things. I've even seen one eating a mouse before, which was quite interesting. And they actually cement their female or their bride to be inside a cavity in the tree, leaving a little keyhole available where he feeds her. The male providing nuptial gifts for the female before the breeding season to show her what a good provider he is. Now there, this individual is doing a little bit of leaf tossing, trying to find insects hidden underneath the organic material. Okay, there was another bird a moment ago, but it's gone. Of course, that's what they do, everybody. Birds fly away. There he goes, hopping, skipping and jumping in search of his never-ending diet of insects.
Good afternoon and welcome to Pridelands, where the elephants have discovered where I live. Please leave my tent alone. Yes, everybody, that is my humble abode here at Pridelands, which is quite cool, and it's literally surrounded by elephants right now. In fact, they're very, very slowly making their way down towards Ndlovu Dam, which is over there. My name is Taylor McCurdy, and on camera with me today is, as every other day, Sebastian Rombi. And we're very excited that we didn't have to even leave camp today to find some content, so that's quite nice. So the herd is La Susan's herd. And I've been in two minds about her after she was quite ugly to me this morning. So I thought, I'm just going to not look for her anymore and she can just do her thing. That's not Susan. Susan, we will find her in a minute. She's just hiding behind some, oh, there she is, yeah. I thought the sickle bush would have been in front of the branches. Anyways, there's Susan. And she's definitely going through her estrus cycle, which can take a number of weeks, and I think that's why her behavior is so erratic. But we do need to just be a little bit careful with her, so I'm keeping my distance. But they've done an interesting loop, because this morning they were going east, they were missioning, and they were quite close towards the fence line that literally divides Hoedspruit, that's the safari town that we always talk about, with Pridelands. And now I don't know how they've done a big circle and gone sort of southwest and then come back around. But anyways, I'm quite happy either way. So we will just give them some room to feed, because they are moving through camp now. So everybody is making sure that they watch where the elephants go and they have right of way. But it isn't just them. There's a whole bunch of bulls here too. So if you remember yesterday on the Sunset Safari, we spent some time with Kumo, the rather large elephant bull, and then we also spent it with two younger bulls, and then, of course, the young bull that has a limp. They're now here too, which is quite exciting. I'm really interested to see what the interactions are going to be around Susan, to see if they get quite excited by her. But we're literally just going to spend the afternoon with these gentle giants and see what the animals get up to. But hopefully they'll be at the dam shortly.
Well, any birds possibly you could see close to the elephants, chances are would be the cattle egret. Now, I'm sure the final director, the director in the final control is giving account, because I think now we have number 3. If I forget, she's going to remind me cast. And we got our third species here, and we got a lapwing that, if you look carefully, she blends in very well in the ground. Thank you very much, cast. And this is the spur-winged lapwing. One great fact, they are very territorial. Now, I do not want to lose the others. Forget about the hippo. I don't know what name will give the hippo to be a bird. I'm more looking for birds than the hippo. Hippo will come back to you, don't worry. And we got a heron there. Very good. My guess is this a grey heron. A grey heron. And one very solid fact about grey herons is they feed during the day and night. Most birds will feed during the day. They will trick at night, of course, because of the darkness and the worry of the predators. But grey herons feed both day and night. Bungay, do you want to move the camera? See how well we're doing? We got a stock there. Some people call this a wood stock, others will call it a yellow-billed stock. Now, one great fact about this stock, they got very sharp and strong beaks. That beak she's using to preen her feathers or to realign, her feathers. Maybe she has been busy eating the better part of the day. Unlike the heron, most of the times they eat during the day. And that beak is very sharp, it's very strong, it is just like a spear. Both of them are in that particular area because of that water. Now, some other important fact about the yellow-billed stock, on their feet, they got sensors. So what happens when they get in the water, when they're feeding, they keep moving. Oh, another species coming up. Very good, Bungay. How did I miss that one? Bungay is the gentleman on the camera. So when they're feeding, I hope that, is it an Egyptian geese? Let me first give the name for account, just in case she flies away. But back to the yellow-billed stock, on the feet, they got sensors. So when in the water, they walk very slowly, and you'll see them disturbing the water with their feet. And once they pick a movement with their feet, they'll definitely tell there's some kind of invertebrate or some kind of crustacean or some food there. They just strike it using their beaks. Where did the Egyptian geese go? If you go to the left a little bit, Bungay, we're going to see our Egyptian geese just lying there. And one important fact before I leave these Egyptian geese is they're very solitary, and more often than not, they live in pairs.
Thanks, Gigi. Well, we've got ourselves a green-backed heron, also known as striated heron. Very aquatic birds. Look at that very sharp beak. Now, they pull their head back, and they can actually shoot it off lightning fast. I've seen them catch dragonflies. They catch all sorts of insects, including frogs and fish, tadpoles. I've actually even seen them fishing for fish on a stream that's moving. They take a dead insect and they put it upstream a few feet, and then they let it float down, and they keep putting up and down until something moves to catch it, and then with a lightning fast speed they catch that fish. And the really most incredible thing I've ever seen. You see these guys, how fast they are at catching dragonflies. You wouldn't believe it. Okay, so the striated or green-backed heron, and then another bird just off to the right-hand side at 11 o'clock off of the front of the vehicle is the brown-hooded kingfisher. Now, not for the most part a very aquatic bird, the brown-hooded kingfisher, but they nest in cavities in riverbanks and in stream banks. They feed on more insects than they do on fish. But obviously, all kingfishers will feed on a few frogs, some tadpoles from time to time. And this is definitely the most common of the kingfishers that we see around. All kingfishers' hunting strategy is to sit on a perch and to plunge down onto an animal not necessarily into the water, but onto the ground, anything that's moved. Wonderful. There he goes. He just plunged down onto the floor there. I don't know if you can still see him, PK. I've got him. Okay, well, there he is to the left a bit. He's busy trying to smash something. Well, we'll see if we can find him for you again.
Well, it didn't take the elephants long now, did it, to get down to Ndlovu Dam. It's going to be quite nice to see them all drinking, and I'm sure that there will be some wallowing, because it has been such a hot day. Like, you cannot believe how hot it's been. The change in weather has been unbelievable. There they all are. That might be the first to go and test out the muddy waters. This one has already had a drink. I'm first going to spray the yellow-billed storks and the Egyptian geese and the grey heron. Fine, no problem. It'll also be a really good opportunity to watch those birds fish, but I think we'll see that when the elephants go in the water a little bit more clearly. Well, hopefully they go for a bit of a swim. Oh, there's lots happening here today. So we might actually just have to sit at the dam, to be honest. Everything is coming down here. So the herd is pretty much drinking on all sides of the dam for the moment, and the bulls are slowly making their way in as well. I'm looking for that naughty elephant, but I can't see her now. Not just yet. I don't know if you can hear the sounds today. It also still might be a bit on the soft side, unfortunately. We'll have to wait for Kumo to come. He's got a much larger trunk. I've also learned that it is Mapani bee breeding season, because I keep finding Mapani bees or stingless bees all sitting on me, mating. So that's also a fun time. We'll try and catch one of them so we can have a closer look. But for now, we shall watch the elephants. We'll save that for when we don't have any content, just in case you were wondering, you know. There we go. So, Mum and Calf, who's getting sprayed by mud, whether it wants to or not, and she whips her trunk around to the left. That little one gets a face full of mud. Although it's not going to be... Well, actually might be handy, sorry. Just answering the call again. It might be quite handy, because I don't think that little elephant will be any good at really spraying mud on itself. Still learning. That's just Sebastian about to answer the same call. Diddle-oo-doo, diddle-oo-doo, diddle-oo-doo-doo. I love that tone. Never gets old. That's lovely. Look at that elephant's watermark along its body. That's quite funny. Oh, who's bossing in there? Bull? Two bulls trying to get in on the mud. Careful, you're going to get a tusk to the bottom if you get too close to some of those calves. I've also been watching the older cows reprimanding Susan, which is interesting. We saw it this morning. She got a hard hit. It was actually after she gave us some trouble, funny enough. And this afternoon, the same thing happened. She was being stubborn and wouldn't move. So one of the cows just really showed her size. So I think they're also getting a bit sick of her nonsense. And she seems to be a lot calmer, which makes me happy. But look at how dry it is looking. That backdrop, it doesn't feel like it's Pridelands. It feels like we're in a completely different area.
Look how gorgeous this little praying mantis is. We found this completely by luck. He's actually sitting, and we won't go to now, we'll focus on the mantis first. He's actually sitting on the pole of a weather station. And we noticed that the pole was a little bit skewed, probably been nudged by a giraffe or something. And then when we got it to try to push it back straight, this little guy was sitting at the bottom. And how awesome is that, eh? That camouflage is next level. Okay, maybe not, you're going to argue, well, he's sitting out in the open, it's quite obvious. But if he's in this dry vegetation here, he would be all but invisible. And look at even these protrusions on the abdomen. I mean, all these little protrusions there. His antenna are coiled on the top. You can see that, coiled on the top. He's got these beautiful little leaf-like structures on his legs. He's got banding. I mean, you can't get a more remarkable creature than that. I've just fixed sand in my eye. But this couldn't be a better birthday gift for me for tomorrow than finding a praying mantis like this. This is just incredible. Angie, you've hit the nail on the head. It looks like a stick. If you take like dry grass like this and put this praying mantis onto here, he, like I say, he just disappears. But I'm just absolutely stunned that even his antennae have got these little curls. You see that movement, how he moves like that, slowly like that? That is very, very, very typical of a praying mantis, to actually their behavior, not just their actual physical camouflage, but their behavioral adaptation points towards something that looks like something blowing in the breeze, you know, a blade of grass or a leaf or something like that. So wow. And we're talking about predators the whole time, like apex predators, that kind of stuff. This little guy is a phenomenal predator in his own right. You wouldn't want to be an insect out here when you've got like the amount of these little guys around, and spiders and scorpions and all these other cool little invertebrates. Thanks, little guy.
It is a grey-headed bush shrike, everyone. We hardly get to put these on camera. Often heard, but very seldom seen. Whew, took us a long time to get this one on camera. A long time. And often he has the call that kind of sounds like a ghost. It goes, that's my best ghost impression. And they mainly eat insects. But apparently they'll still take chameleons as well. I, of course, am not too happy about that. I would not want any of my chameleon friends to be taken by one. And these ones are also monogamous, but they don't nest in tree cavities. Instead, they make this cup-like nest. And they place those on branches. Now, this flowering knobthorn has had a great selection of birds. I see a chin spot batis on the left arm there. I think we can we see? There we go. You can see the chin spot batis tail. There we go. There we go. I'm so glad that we managed to get that one in as well. Gorgeous. That is a wonderful male. You know, female has the spot on the chin. These guys are also insectivorous and also look for nice areas to nest, and they have this really compact nest that they can camouflage with lichen, which I think is pretty cool.
Wow. That's pretty much all I have to say, because the call to the directors keeps dropping, but this is spectacular. Susan and Alicia Keys' herd have met up. This is the product of, I don't even know what, but it's amazing. Look how many elephants there are. Like, all Seb and I saw was this huge dust cloud coming towards us, and it was very interesting. And then, Seb, if you keep panning that way, there's one elephant by itself, or the warthog literally right behind it. Can you see that? I think, is it a warthog? No, it's an elephant. Never mind. I'm totally from here. This is why you must use binoculars. And I've got 3 different pairs, and do you think that elephant just had its trunk underwater for too long? I legit thought that was a warthog, and I thought that's so unusual. No, let's chase it away. Oh, I'm an idiot. I'm so sorry. Anyways, I'm just overwhelmed with happiness because there's like millions of elephants here. And it's fantastic. There's little babies. Those two never leave one another's side. They're a part of Susan's herd. The terrible two, they're also normally the one that Susan looks after and sort of stumbles over. But this is pretty phenomenal. Hey, Seb?
Yes,
this is spectacular. It's incredible. It's wonderful. Wow, wow, wow. Oh, hello. Sure. Did you see that headbutt? Who was that? That was unnecessary. Good. Actually, no. Thank you, Elephant. Sort Susan out. If she's being rude, I can't reprimand her like you can. She's, you know what? It's actually quite funny. Maybe she's just having the worst day ever and everybody is picking on her. I mean, we all know how those days feel, because she actually looks like she's feeling a bit sorry for herself and like, sort of like, maybe I have been a bit out of hand and I better change my attitude. But I'm also really surprised to see the peaceful interaction between two different breeding herds. Again, I'm so sorry. It's just Kirsty phoning. The calls keep dropping. But it is lovely. It is really nice to see the interactions between the two, and we're going to continue watching them. Warthog.
Hello, good afternoon. It's once again, we're here in the Masai Mara, and it's me, Isaac, and on camera I have Big James. Good afternoon, lovely people. Welcome back to your live safari here in the Masai Mara. This afternoon, talk to me on Twitter handle, #WildEarth, and our first animal of the day. Over here we have a nice herd of breeding herd, and they're in a nice little marsh, accompanied by the favorite or the commonest bird you'd see around most grazers, the cattle egret, the great egret, the sacred ibis, all of them enjoying a lovely afternoon together. It looks like a very healthy group of breeding herd. Our elephants here in the Mara are doing very well, and I'm very happy about that. Look at that little egret catching up hastily with that elephant when she moved. You know, I don't know if the elephant can feel him. He almost slided back. Look at that little guy. He's fast asleep on his side. Yeah, they tend to do this every time they find an incline up in a small mound where they can support their bodies. Remember, when they lie down, it can be difficult to get up. So if they find something that's in an angle, a rock, a little termite mound, they'll lie on it, so it's easier to wake up. This is the African elephant, you know, found all over Africa, from Central Africa all the way to Southern Africa. Loxodonta africana in Latin, and this is a very beautiful small breeding herd. Oh, here comes more birds. Looks like there's enough creepy crawlies here for everybody, and so more and more birds are coming in. Yeah, let's watch those two guys. I don't know if they're gonna play at this age. Usually they're very, very playful. All these birds, note, they are equipped with long beaks, long necks, and long legs. All those are equipment, or I would call them parts of the body, meant for, you know, fishing and finding food in deep water, rather, not very deep, but also they take advantage of animals spooking, you know, insects. We have quite a healthy number of these guys because there's enough marshes here in the Mara. There are other smaller ones that we cannot see. Yeah, like off to my right in front here, there is, I think it's sandaline, looks like it, in the grass there, just flew off. Yeah, I'm gonna move on, find something else, but I'm sure I'm gonna show you some elephants further up. And look at that, beautiful sight.
Thanks, Isaac, and welcome back to Djuma, everybody, where we've got the grey go-away bird, formerly known as the grey lory, but a bird that makes a sound quack, quack. It doesn't have the name or associated to the other lories that have all changed the name to Turacos due to the coloration and pigments in the feathers that this bird does not have. With the name changes, though, the grey go-away bird fits back into the category of other go-away birds that we find in Africa. So a very common bird we find around here. They feed on all sorts of fruits. This time of year, we'll actually find them feeding on flower buds and little leaf buds that are popping out until the vegetation is at its apex and there will be fruit for them to eat. But very, very, very common in our savanna system. Monogamous, little platform nest. But possible that they have a sort of cooperative breeding or facultative breeding where individuals will help. But right now, this one's enjoying a bit of a grooming session in the sunshine. Look at that, wonderful little groom through the tail, putting all those feathers back in place so as to service the car, as it will, to improve performance. Well, we're going to continue down the river system and see what other birds we can find.
Well, along the river with water, water is life. Now, I'm sure Isaac have had some of this, and we may have a repeat, but we got one of them that's very unique. Now, let's start to the closest to your screen. That is the great egret. Hello, great egret. Very good. It's one of the largest egrets that we got in Africa. 2, we got the sacred ibis, just exactly like what Isaac had, but we got one special one there. That's the African open-billed stork. African open-billed stork. That's the black one there. I think those are 3 there. I hope the final control, the director, knows how she's working it out. And then we're going to move to one huge tree there, and you have... I'm very excited to hear from the final control that we could be winning, me and Bungay. And then there we got the black-headed heron on top of that tree. All the rest of the big ones are the great egret, and we got the black-headed heron. Bungay, just keep the frame there, because right below that we had seen some black cricks, some small little birds with orange legs. They might have disappeared, but just below they're playing. I'm also trying to get my far lookers to see what else I may spot there. You need very good eyes and you look very carefully. And I'm not sure they're right there. That's where they were playing before, and we call them the black cricks. Can you see them? Yes, if you look carefully, there's some black birds there, not very goodly seen, but maybe you're going to wait a little bit more. But there it's moving in the middle of your screen. Yes, right there. They're small, it's right in the middle. And we call them black cricks. So the 2 of them, now we can only see one moving. Hopefully, we'll see it come out in the open.
All I can say is that I'm so happy we did not participate in the birding game, because Sebastian, you and I are both very competitive people, and we would be losing because we'd be watching the elephants. So, sorry, I'm just packing all sorts of things away so that I don't lose them and break my toys. But yeah, unfortunately, something has literally just given all elephants a fright, so now they've run out of the water and are having a dust bath, which is still lovely, but I thought that they would have swam for a little bit longer. But my goodness, they were having a serious pool party, like you have absolutely no idea. And I hope that it brings you as much joy as it brings me watching elephants dust bath, swim, just watching elephants be happy. There's just something incredible about that. Some frisky bulls, as you can see. I wonder if Kumo is in the mix just yet, because we'll sort them all out. There's something going on there. With the amount of bulls and cows, someone is going to get into trouble soon enough. Doesn't look like there's any cows there. They all just look like boisterous bulls, all having a chance. I thought it was just really fascinating to see those two herds come together like that to form like a super herd. Okay, it's not really a super herd because then you expect to see like over 100 elephants, but for this area, that amount of elephants was quite a fair amount. Hello, Kirsten. Sorry about the calls that keep dropping. Also, if there's any washing on the line, it's probably going to have to be re-washed because of all the dust that's blowing straight into camp. So much fun. Look at it. That's what it looked like last night, but the entire area was just completely brown. It looked like either a fire had started or some serious mist had set on in when that herd of buffalo came trampling down towards the edge of the water. It was actually quite spectacular. And then elephants in the mix, and someone was driving past, so like the beautiful headlights, that sort of light yellow color that was coming off and bouncing off of the lights. It was so dramatic. It was very, very cool. But look at that. You can also see how windy it is. Elephants, I don't know if you're getting as much sand on your bodies. You might have to stand there for a bit longer. Most of it is just being blown in the complete opposite direction. Look at that. It's so gorgeous. I love the little ones, and they always put in a good amount of effort to try and dust themselves and splash themselves with mud, but they just can't do it when they're just a few years old. It's really a skill that develops later on in life. There we go. Look at all the erosion that they're contributing to as well. That was also obviously part of the dam when the rain comes about. This dam actually almost floods camp, funny enough. So that water would have been all the way over there. You can see how deep it is, and you can see how that's obviously one of the points where the elephants start drinking water at and maybe wallowing in during the summer months. And now they're just using those tusks and breaking away at it. Tanya, I literally don't know if anyone will disagree with you. I mean, I don't know anyone that would disagree and say that watching elephants is not good therapy. It's fantastic. There is really just something about them, and you can't really describe it with words, but when you're in a sighting with a herd of elephants that interacts with you, so not touches the car or touches you or anything like that, but just, comes around the vehicle, there's this really great sense of calmness, and I don't know how to describe it, but I get goosebumps when it happens. When they're relaxed, though, and I'm not having to reprimand either Susan or a young elephant bull, and it's something quite special. Otherwise, it gets my heart racing a little bit when they're naughty and they misbehave. It is so wonderful to be in the bush during this time and being able to surround myself with these animals all the time. I feel for all of you that aren't here with me, but I suppose at least you get to watch it live.
Thanks, Taylor. Well, elephants are a wonderful animal to see in the bush when they're doing what they're doing. Always very busy. And here we've got a fork-tailed drongo, very common of the birds we find around, part of the flycatchers. They make a beautiful little cup-shaped nest, easily identified or characterized from the southern black flycatcher by that very broad body and the deeply forked tail. Now, they sit on branches like that and they hawk. They'll fly off and catch insects, and normally go back to the same place. There we go. There's the fork-tailed drongo. You see the heavily forked tail, and hawking, meaning as you would if you had a hawk on your arm, flies off and comes back again. A behavior that flycatchers and bee-eaters are very commonly seen to do. Okay, BK, here comes some arrow-marked babblers. Yes, right here in the tree. The arrow-marked babblers are a cooperative breeder. They've got a very nice arrow mark on the chest. You can actually hear them calling. Dark red eye. Cooperative breeding means that they accumulate in a group. They breed together. There's an alpha male and female that lay the eggs, and they all help to provide food for those individuals. The Laveland's cuckoo is a very common brood parasite of this bird. Wonderful shot. They're often very skulky, but also often very loud and very territorial against any babblers, and hence the name babbler. They make this very loud sound. Well, the birds are slowly starting to come out as it's cooling down. It's been a little bit warm. There we go. BK, 12 o'clock, top of the tree is a glossy starling. 12 o'clock of the top leadwood. It's not the birchills. It is most likely the greater blue-eared starling. Orange eye. Very nice sound that they make. Another cavity nesting bird. Omnivorous for the most part, eating lots of insects this time of year. Any fruits that might come out. Cavities made by woodpeckers and barbets, then lined with little shavings, and birds nest, and they're very helpful and a very safe place to breed.
Hello, welcome back. And look what I just found. Yeah, I'm very glad to have found these guys. I haven't seen them for a long time. This is waterbuck, and it's called the Fasa waterbuck. And over here, I have a small herd of bachelor herd. These are all males from a very mature male, the one in the middle, facing away from us, to very young males with almost straight horns. They do form these small herds like this, where they eat, spar, grow to be big, and have enough strength to go and challenge a female, a male with females. Associated with water, they love places with water. Their coats protect them from getting cold, and it is said they're very oily. On the inside. They never tasted one, never seen one dead, and never, heard somebody eat and say so, but the books say so. Commonly found all over East and Central Africa, all the way to Southern Africa, and they are associated very much with bushy areas, open scrub, and marshy areas. And here you can tell they're very happy, chewing away the grass. They've been in water, so you can tell, they have very dark lower part of their legs. And looks like they're headed towards the bushes. Yeah, I'm going to leave them to head that way, and I'm going to continue on, see what I can find.
This Burchell starling also looks quite oily. Isn't it a beautiful bird? But that sheen is not created by oil at all. It's a lovely sheen created by structural coloration. We've spoken about it before. Microstructures on the feathers that are reflecting short wavelengths to give us that beautiful color. The only pigment it does have is melanin. And it's one of 3 of the glossy starlings that we get here. The Cape glossy starling, greater blue-eared glossy starling, and this one, Burchell's starling. This is my favorite of the starlings. It's got a wonderful kind of diamond-shaped fan tail. There it goes. And it does like insects too. I'm going to go to a very, very, very small puddle now, no longer a pan that's close by. Hopefully there'll be more birds there.
Good luck, Trish, on the birding in the Juma team. And we definitely have what Trish had earlier. And this is a lilac-breasted roller. Sometimes we call her fork tailed roller, because if you look carefully on her tail, when you're lucky and on good visuals, you'll notice that the last two feathers are forked, like of a forked-tailed drongo. Now, one important fact. This is the national bird of Kenya. I hope that makes sense. 2, it has about 6, 7, maybe 8 colors. For that size, it is the most colorful bird that I know of. Another fact, in general, they mate while in flight. They mate in the air, and that's how they got that name, rollers. Very difficult to tell male from female, but if you see two together, an important fact, the male is slightly larger in size than the female, unlike, the eagles, where the females are bigger than the males. We had seen it earlier, but then the fluid took off before we framed it, and apparently next to it was the Hildebrand's starling. So we just have to move on and get a few more species.
The bushrack. Thanks, David. Well, have we got it? Yes. Yellow-breasted Pallas, everybody. This bird's got a very cool sound. It almost sounds like a DJ at the disco. Red eye, that little black spot on the chest, and the yellow chest, as in the name, yellow-breasted Pallas. A small little bird moves through the canopy, gleaning insects off. They also make a very small little shallow cup, little oval cup nest. Should I say, not an oval cup, but a little in the side, the canopy, and then jump through the vegetation looking for insects. So we had an orange-breasted bushshrike. There are so many birds going on over here, and now they've all disappeared. It is what it is. It is a wonderful afternoon now for birding. It's starting to get a little bit quieter. I can hear them calling. The wind has dropped. Okay, 12, let's get this other bird, BK. We've got to get one more bird. We're on 12. We'll do a little just saw a crombeck fly through. I can hear some wax bills. There is a dove. BK, 12 o'clock, just in the bush there. Not 12 o'clock, 9 o'clock. Here we go. There is a Cape turtle dove busy grooming himself, a very common bird. I'm surprised we haven't seen it yet. Now, they provide pigeon milk for their chicks, always only 2, never more than 2. A little flat platform nest placed inside a tree, normally quite exposed, and they're able to siphon water up like a straw, which is very cool. One more quickly, BK, at 10 o'clock on the floor. I've got a crested varmint. There he is, just through there at 10 o'clock. And you got it, Beaks? Just there on that branch. And you got him. There we go, crested barbet, a hole nesting bird, able to make the holes themselves, but they are insectivorous and frugivores, spending most of the time on the ground, walking around. A very territorial bird that is very aggressive to anybody that tries to move anywhere near their territory, including hole nesting birds.
Steve Wachilia. Well, 2 species there. Cattle egress, I'm sure it was with someone else before, but we also have the hammercop behind the 3 cattle egrets you see there. So, cattle egrets, hammercop, cattle egrets are always symbiotic. They'll always move with most of the herbivores. Hammercops, an important fact about them, they make the largest nests that we know of. They make the largest nests in the world. Now, this is another bird we have seen. I don't know if we really need to back up a little bit, or she's gone, but it was on my left, and it was a bastard. So I just want to make sure we catch her. But what else did you see there, Bungay? So the hammercop and the cattle egrets, maybe not anything else. So we had seen, who is that? Not much there. So let me just back up a little bit. There's one there. I can't see it. So let me just back up a little bit, Bungay, if you allow me, and see whether we can see the bastard we saw earlier. It went in a little bush. Just hold on to see whether we'll be lucky to see it. Now, we had seen a white-bellied bastard. It was in the frame, and I'm sure the final control director saw her, but most likely she might have disappeared in the grass. Well, we can't see her now, but she was somewhere to our left in that little bush there. There was a white-bellied bastard. She might have decided to hide, and not very fair for her to make us lose that important point there. So we're going to give her one more look before we close on our competition this side. It's gone, so we need to maybe move on. We might see her much later. But there was a white-bellied bastard, I'm sure. It was in the frame at one point. Ha ha ha. And we have come to the end of that competition. So let's move on. Ha ha. Okay, now what you want to do, I got a small lamp here because I am being told to go to Juma to my friend called Stivovo. Stivovo, what do you need to tell us, Stivovo?
Oh, David, well done anyway. We've got a golden-tailed woodpecker, which is a cavity nesting bird. They create cavities and they peck on the tree. Insect eaters, mainly grubs, should I say, able to peck and dig them out of the tree. And well, it's very exciting to be able to beat the Mara, because I was in the Mara last year, and it is almost impossible to beat the Mara when it comes to birding. There's so many birds going on. So many birds, but we could carry on all day. This is so much fun. But we've been allotted an hour to do some fantastic birding. I hope you've enjoyed yourselves today, everybody. We've managed to find some splendid birds. Thank you, everybody. It was if you haven't never noticed before, I actually quite enjoy birding. So to be tasked to go out and compete when it comes to birding is rather fun. I nearly killed my camops last year in the Mara with the big birding day, because I was stopping so regularly. There's such a wonderful assortment of birds out there if you keep moving along and driving along the escarpment. Wonderful, different raptor species up there. Saw my first auger buzzard, saw a crowned eagle, which was special. It's always fun. A little bit of competition between us makes for some fantastic afternoons. And Beeks, do you want to come to this tree over here? We've got a few birds jumping around in the top. There we go. There's a southern black tit that's jumped down. Maybe you'll be able to get him. There's a southern black tit moving through. There we go. There's the blackback puffback. It's actually previously known as a puffback shrike. Afrikaans name is a sneeuwballetjie, or a boule de neige in French, because the male puffs up his white back to stand out and to look very formidable to females, I suppose, and to other males. And they're also very much insect eaters. Now, at the top of the tree, BK, jumping around, is the southern black tit. You can see him now, just on that branch. Or we're going to move. Just up in the middle at 12 o'clock, down at that first fork. Up. Up. A little bit more. 12 o'clock. A little bit more. There we go. Top of the screen. Oh, okay, there's one. There is our yellow-breasted palace again, and a little bit more up and to the left. There we go. There is the southern black tit, which is another sort of flycatcher-like bird. They like to... Oh, and the orange-breasted bushshrike. What a win. Those are some very, very special birds. The one at the back, the orange-breasted bushshrike. But the tit is moving through, doing behavior known as gleaning. The bushshrike is doing the same thing. So this little bird party, the birds that are able to glean are basically climbing through the tree, trying to catch insects as they move, and others benefit from that behavior. So a wonderful bird party and a wonderful victory.
Welcome back, guys, and once more I have our giraffe resident to the Mara, the MAASAI giraffe. Remember, giraffes are endangered, so it's really nice to see a few of them, and looks like that female could be coming in season, because that male has been following, her very closely. Sometimes when they follow them like that, they force the females to pee, and by peeing they can, take a little bit of a sample from their urine, and using an organ in the upper nasal passage of their nose, they can detect if the female is coming into season by sending the message to the brain. This is a fully grown male. You can tell by, the third knob growing in between the horns, and also the size of the horns. Also his size, he is quite a fully grown one. They weigh up to around 1,750 kilograms. Females weigh about 1,500, and their population is under threat all over Africa due to bushmeat trade, and especially this time of the pandemic, they're having a very hard time. Also, habitat loss is another contributor to great loss to these beautiful, magnificent, animals. Yeah, look at how that neck bends. Wow. Yeah, it's like bowing down in slow motion. Looks like he's quite, well fed, so he's not feeding, and he's standing watch for the female to graze. This is one particular giraffe that we have here in the Masai Mara. We do have a species. All of them are browsers. They can go, up to a few days without drinking. They obtain all their water from, the moisture from the leaves that they eat. They have 4-chambered stomachs, so they are able, to eat, fill up the first one, then sit and ruminate and fully digest, all the food. They properly utilize everything, and because they are very vulnerable if they go down to drink, because they have to splay their legs, they use all the water in the leaves they eat, so their urine is like syrup. If it falls down, it smells, and also quite thick like syrup. Yeah, look at her. She's okay. I think that bush is it's in a good reach, so they're not splaying their legs. But if it was much lower than that, then they'll spread their legs, and when doing that, they can be very, very vulnerable.
Welcome to and Beyond Panda Private Game Reserve, everybody. My name's Matt. This afternoon we've got Craig behind the camera, and we've managed to catch up with those 3 young male lions that Damon was with this morning. Off to our left-hand side here, just speaking about giraffe reaching down and, being active. Every so often, as Craig zooms in here, you might just see a paw or a twitch of an ear. They're lying in some very dense vegetation this afternoon. It was an extremely hot day, not much wind this afternoon, so not much respite from the wind either. So they've chosen a really nice shady spot here, but quite tricky for us to see these 3 young males who I think are still waiting patiently for Mom to return from her hunting efforts. I think that's probably what she was out doing today, but being such a hot day, she's probably stayed where she is, and we'll probably come back to find the 3 of them this afternoon. What I might do is leave them be for now. I don't think they're going to go very far for the time being, and then we can always come back a little bit later to see if they're not out in the open or set off to find Mom, or more than likely Mom to come and find them. We're not too far from that watering hole where they were initially found this morning, where at the moment there was a hive of activity with impala, zebra, wildebeest. But you can see this youngster with its paw in its ear like that keeps on sort of trying to bite things. There are quite a few flies that are irritating them on a hot day. All of them have been flicking their tails, twitching their ears, and really haven't been settling down, which might encourage them to move sooner rather than later this afternoon. It is a little bit windy, or the wind started to pick up, so it is getting cooler for them, which might mean they might head out to have a bit of a drink at that pan, in which case that would be great for us to see them in their full flesh. But typical lions, you sleep for the majority of the day, and that's, I think, exactly what these three have been doing. As we arrived here, there was a monkey that alerted us to them still being here. It was alarming and alarming and alarming. So we knew they hadn't moved far. It was just a case of finding them, literally a needle in a haystack out here. But they are all still here, all quite cozy in their little grass patch that they've managed to excavate. And you can see now how they've depressed that grass flat from lying there throughout the day. They haven't moved far at all. Still not a cloud in the sky, but I can imagine, quite soon, sun setting in about an hour and a half, 2 hours, they'll most likely head out into the open where Mom left them initially, close to that pan, and perhaps meet up with the rest of the pride, which would be quite exciting. Maybe Mom, if she was successful with a kill, will lead them back to that, and if we're lucky enough, and if that is the case, we might be able to see them feed a little bit later on. I've actually only seen the two here. The one that you've got in picture that keeps flipping his paw and batting flies away, and then one that's lying a little bit further to the right. But they might have reshuffled as the sun moved around into the shade of this tree that they're lying under. Rosalind, you're asking how big a lion's paw is. If you can have a look at that individual who's not that old, I'd say about 12 to 15 months old, that male lion, and already his paw is probably the size of my hand, and male lions are also, their paws are huge. As a scale, I'd say, a rather large hand is how big they are, about 15 or 20 centimeters. Rosalind, and they can do some serious damage. You won't be able to see their claws as he swats those flies, because they've got those retractable claws. But often what they'll do is they'll scratch bark of a tree and try and sharpen those claws, and that's one way where you'll find them. Otherwise, if they're all busy feeding, grabbing onto whatever it is that they're feeding on, you might see their claws at them, but they are huge. They really do have large paws, and even these chaps that are growing into their paws, it always, from a very young age, it looks like they've got big shoes to fill from a young age. Some more tail flicking. They are starting to get a little bit more restless than when we first found them basically unconscious, fast asleep.
One thing I love about nature is just looking at the remarkable degree of camouflage exhibited by so many different species. I'm talking about literally from fish to birds to mammals to reptiles to whatever. And when you look at this bush, at first glance there appears to be nothing there. And now as you look close, you can actually see that leopard female lying in there watching us. See how relaxed she is. No, I'm just kidding, it's not a leopard. Don't worry, it's not a leopard. It's a scrub hare. But look how incredible that camouflage is. I know it is difficult because you've actually got, it makes it more difficult because you've got the high contrast, you've got the extremely bright light on the outside, and then the deep shade. So that animal's actually just taken shelter in there for thermoregulation, but also that camouflage just kicks in an incredible manner. Now, if you were a caracal or a leopard, coming back to that cat, walking down this road, and that animal saw you, but decided not to budge, the chance of that predator actually seeing you is incredibly small. It is incredible. Most of these things are hunting by sight, so they're hunting on movement. They're not leopards and caracal and wildcats. They don't go around trying to sniff things out of holes. They're not like hyenas and those kind of things, but they're relying a lot on sight, on movement, and that's why that freeze behavior on these is so critical. But, you know, I didn't really want to talk about that as opposed to the impeccable camouflage that animal's exhibiting. It is just absolutely remarkable. So don't worry if you can't see the whole outline of the hair. That's the exact point. Gorgeous, eh? Yeah. Quite remarkable. There's always something to find, and that, just seeing that little guy like that, okay, yeah, and it is well camouflage. But I'm gonna tell you now, we got to like come clean here. The only reason we saw that is because it was actually sitting under another bush, and as we approached, we just saw the movement as it dashed out of the bush because it was sitting very close to the road, and then it went and hid inside there. So we would never have seen that. Well, I would never have seen that had we just driven past and it had been sitting still. There's just no ways. I mean, look at that. That's just, forget it. You're not going to, unless you're some kind of genius with infrared eyesight or something. Or what, heat sensors. But, and that there just points to me, or just always highlights the fact of how much else are we missing when we're in the bush. Pep has just asked, have I ever seen caracal hunting hares at Tswalu? I haven't. For a fact, I've seen caracal kills on hares. In other words, we've seen their remains stashed up in trees, because caracal, like leopards, would actually take kills up trees as well, especially slightly larger, bulkier things. So I've seen the remains of actual hares as well as spring hares up trees from caracal kills, but I've never seen the actual hunt itself. One day when I'm big, after my 56th birthday tomorrow, then I'm going to see a caracal kill. That's what I'm going to be pushing for my 56th birthday, is going to be a caracal kill. But yeah, I think my key objective actually this afternoon is Aardwolf. And the reason I came out here is because the wind, we're now moving into the wind. We're going to be out of the scrubby stuff fairly soon, and then we're going to be into these open grasslands at the time when the temperature's now dropping, and it's going to, hopefully, it'll be ideal for aardwolf, aardvark, things like that. Whether I actually get to find them is a completely different story, but we'll keep doing our absolute best.
Whoa, always putting himself up to good challenges, he is. Now, I heard some zebra alarm calling in that general hyena den area. That's where they've been hanging out. That's also where Shudulu has been. Oh, well, at least very often. So I'm going to go check it out there. And I heard it a couple times. So something's definitely spooked them. Oh, there's a giraffe. And the zebra would look absolutely fine. Let's get us a nice position. Oh, 2 giraffes. Let's just watch from here because it's such a gorgeous position, and it'll move if I go much closer. How cool is that? Full stretch. Nibbling on some knobthorn. You saw the flowers in the knobthorn. All over the place it's flowering, and now you can see there's flowers on there. And they are the mammal pollinator the nobdons. As they go from one tree to the other, all the pollen on their muzzles, they do the job that the nobdon can't do by itself, and that is reproduce. Needs the assistance of the air, the insects, and even mammals. Oh, that must be very tasty because the other one's coming to join. Hi, Sophia. You're 7 years old. Thank you so much for asking a question. You'd like to know how many babies can a giraffe have at one time? Giraffe will generally just have one baby. And twins are possible. That's two babies at the same time. But it's very, very difficult for a giraffe to have enough nutrition in order to make sure that the two babies grow well. So they generally just have one baby. They're looking off towards the zebra. Actually, I was just wondering, what are they staring at? But they're looking at the zebra that that other one is actually chasing at the moment. And off they go. I'm just going to do a little bit more investigation around here because this is where the alarm calls were. Maybe I'll pick up on some tracks.
Welcome back to Ambient Pind, everybody, where we too have found a couple of zebra, but in amongst this herd is a tiny little foal next to mom with its head down. You can still see really, really fluffy, but when we initially came up to it, it was right next to the vehicle, and we noticed the most incredibly long eyelashes for such a youngster. And that obviously just helps with things like flies that can sometimes be a bit of a pest to them. You see those tails constantly going as well. But have a look at how close it sticks to mom, the safety of mom's back as it munches on that grass at the back there. The most striking patterns, and it's not very often you get to see them close up, but everyone's saying how cute it is. It is extremely cute, this little zebra foal. And yeah, just sticking to the comfort of behind mom. Love those facial markings of theirs, and quite curious it was, sort of exploring, walking a little bit away, but then as soon as anything happened, it would go straight back to mom. There's actually, on the other side of the road, quite a big herd of zebra with one or two other youngsters in the mix. You can see the adults all with their heads down, busy grazing. What they call belt grazers. From one cute little baby to another, you'll have a look with also its head tucked behind mom. Not too sure which one's smaller. I think the one that we initially were with was slightly smaller, but this one's standing like a statue at the moment, but their tail's constantly going. It's quite a nice way to tell individuals apart. Back with the original two now, and with the youngster behind mom. Vic is asking the difference between a zebra and a quagga. And the quagga was, in fact, a plain zebra that lived in South Africa until becoming extinct in the late sort of 19th century. Thought to be a distinct species, but genetic studies reveal that it was a subspecies of the plain zebra that we're having a look at now, if that helps clear the difference. Vic. So just a subspecies of this zebra that we're having a look at now. it's not often you get to see zebra's eyes in this soft, I say soft, it is still quite harsh sunlight, but they've got the most extremely brown hazel color eyes. They've got very striking eyes, and every so often you'll see people are lucky enough to capture those eyes. They don't often stick around close to the road. But we spoke about those long eyelashes that you see, and have a look at how fluffy its face is and all along its neck, and that mane looks like it's just come out of the parlor. Very cute little baby. One or two oxpeckers that you can hear, and those typical sort of horse sounds as well.
Well, we had zebras here for these lions that could really enjoy, but we got very chirpy and very noisy bats with us here because of these two lionesses. Now look to your right of your screen and just listen. These are what we call the helmeted guinea fowls. And when we are looking for birds that can give us some leads on would-be predators, this one you can count on. These ones, to me, and the drongos are very helpful, especially when they are leading us to predators. The alarms they make, when you hear them, you'll always know there's some sort of cat. In general, some sort of cat. Could be a cheetah, a leopard, or a lion or a lioness. Two sisters here. And this particular pride is called the Mogoro pride. And there used to be three, and we are not very sure what might happen, would have happened to the third one. But they're still holding ground, the two of them. They have their own territory. And it's one area, when we see them in particular, I would say, acreage, you can always tell 100% these are the Mogoros or the two sisters. We'll have a few males that will come in and go out. We have noticed two coalitions that have come and mated with them. But what I've noticed with these particular girls, none of them has been able to keep a litter to maturity. Currently, all of us here are convinced these two girls are pregnant. We think. I have no friend or someone who told me, saw them mating, but from how we've been seeing them behave, their body language, and how their bellies have been when they have hunted and when they have not hunted, we've got a feeling that these two girls could be pregnant, and I have no idea with which males they might have mated with. Now, during the migration, there's a lot of overlaps of prides. So coalitions, the males, sometimes you get them when there's an overthrow. They could easily come in and mate with these particular girls and maybe go back where we are. The pride that we saw in the morning, not sure how many of you were watching, called the Owino pride. We have a new male there called Ololashe, and that male came from the Mara North. It wasn't resident, or rather the Greater Mara, and it crossed the Mara River, and it came to where we are in the Mara Triangle, and he's in charge now of that particular area. His closest competitors, I would say, other competitors would be the Triangle Boys. The Triangle Boys, I'm sure you remember, there used to be three. We lost one, and then we were left with Fang and Halftail. Now, Halftail and Fang on one side, and Ololashe is on the other side. Now, the Triangle Boys used to mate with the Ololo Pride and the Owino Pride, but at the moment, we think Ololashe is in charge of the Owino Pride. Coalitions of males will not move a lot. Their territories tend to remain the same. But as soon as we are over with the migration, you'll get everybody going back to their grounds and going back to their territories, which they belong to. But the good news, because you have a lot of food, or rather the lionesses or the prides have a lot of food, there's no bad blood between them. So a pride we see here, we see in a different area because there is enough to eat. Once food becomes limited, now it's time to protect your territory and your food. Hello. They just tried to hunt one of those guinea fowls that you saw there, but they're not very good. Of course, those birds were a lot faster. Now, because they've chosen to have a little nap, I don't want to stay here because I might also easily snooze. I will move on.
Well, welcome back to South Africa. We've got our own lions. We're in Kuhuma Pride, very close to where we left them this morning. Their shade has been moving. Right where I'm parked at the moment is where we had the end of the show this morning. They were all lined up here on the termite mound. All 17 lions in one puddle. I think it's the first time I've had that. Some positive signs though. Some of them are sleeping, but some are grooming everybody. But I said that the other day with Theo when we were on some Mbili, and then they all went back to sleep. It is a bit later in the day this time though. Yay, the Nkuhuma Pride. At full strength. So it is a positive sign to have adults grooming like this. It's possible that they were just too hot and bothered to do it earlier though, because when we left them, some of these lions were still bloodied from whatever it is that they ate. I assumed it to be an impala. If you missed the show this morning, whole pride was found here this morning with the 8th lioness, who's always been in and about, a bit of a nomad of late, sporting quite a few injuries. And there was a small interaction between her and Mohawk, the Avoca male, who is now also sporting an injured front right foot. He is now welcome to the Limpy Avoca Club. We are live and interactive. I know we blew you all away with the birding earlier, but if you have any questions and comments to continue on with the drive, please send them to #WildEarth. Throw them in on the YouTube chat stream. I can hear a magpie shrike calling. Add him to the list. We tried to get one earlier. He wasn't being very accommodating. Okay, so those of you who haven't been watching maybe the last few days, we've seen the pride. The mange seems to have abated. If you have a look at the cubs, their beaks on the left, you'll notice the cubs are looking quite shaggy. Their coats are all looking in much better condition. Even where they rubbed themselves raw in patches that was quite dark from the skin, that seems to be growing back as well, which is quite interesting to see. Very, very interesting, in fact. I think the worst is over. I think the worst was over already a couple months ago when I was last here. Oh, and this is the female here, MAASAI. This is the one with the injuries. This is the lioness that's been missing or been a nomadic. I think her name's the Nikia lioness, one who stole that kill from Tundi a while ago. You'll notice she's got quite a few scratches and scars on her back legs, her back hips, around the tail. She looks in good condition considering, but her and the Avoca males do not have a very good relationship. See all the little scratches and scars, probably from where she's been bullied. See, he's looking over at Mohawk. He's on the other side of the mound, and she knows if he comes closer. Look at the back legs there. It's typical of where lions fight each other. They bite each other there on the legs, on the hips. But considering those injuries, she's still looking in very good condition. She just needs to keep her wits about her. Tony, it was 29 degrees a little while ago. It's definitely dropped by quite a bit. It's probably 26 now Celsius, so just below 80. It's not that warm anymore. There's a very nice breeze blowing. That's why the lions are out in the open. If it was any warmer, this morning was actually quite warm. That sun started getting a little bit of a bite to it. But in the last 45 minutes, a really nice wind has picked up. But it's not enough. These lionesses are going to all move off into the shade. Well, she's going to move and miss the shade. Hello, Taylor. You want to know why males have manes and females don't? Well, not all male lions actually develop a mane, but it is something that has definitely become very common in males. And essentially, around the neck area is where the animal is quite vulnerable. If a lion bites another lion in the neck, when male lions fight, they claw each other and bite in the neck, and that can lead to enormous amounts of blood loss. So the mane actually protects their vital organs during fighting. And then also, a male lion with a big, dark mane is far more intimidating than one without one, or one with a very small mane. So a big, dominant male will have a big, dark, thick mane, and quite often he can avoid conflict just by looking the way he does. Many other lions will see him and go, "Oh no, he's way too big for me," and run away. That's very impressive. Makes them look far bigger than they are. And there's also some insight into the fact that there's testosterone that's accumulated through fighting, which can also lead to darker and thicker mane development. So if you have a big, dark mane, there's a very good chance you're quite a bruiser, and you're willing to take the fight to your opponent, and your opponent will think twice. And in animal world, it only takes one moment of confusion or doubt to turn a fight or to prevent one. So if you have a big, dark mane, you can actually avoid fighting, because everybody's going to just leave you alone. But when they do come to blows, it can be incredibly violent. But none of that is happening right now. Right now, it's all about keeping the flies away from the face and cooling themselves down.
That's true.
Who keeps all the horns, like? I don't know. I just always say, they say.
They're safe.
They're safe and they're safe.
Yeah, they're safe. Can't get them.
Yeah, but like, surely it should be the landowners. Yeah, so it is. That's the long talk. How's it going? All right.
Sorry about that, everybody. Technical issues. Trying to bring you a live safari from the African wild sometimes can come with some difficulties. We are still with the Pride. They haven't done much in the 30 seconds you were away. Amber Eyes is here somewhere, Denise. You'll have to give me a few moments to find her. It is difficult when they're like this. It's difficult when they're like this. If they're up and moving, or if their eyes are open, it's a lot easier. We'll find her for you, Denise. She's one of the adults. I don't think it's this one with her belly up, though it could be. This is definitely not cella. So it could be purple eye, originose, or amber eyes. We could narrow it down. Fortunately, when lions like this, it's quite tricky to get good IDs.
Okay. Welcome back, everybody, to Unbeyond Pinda, where we found 2 white rhino. What led us to these 2 were actually 3 black rhino who we're struggling to keep up with in these very thick areas. There are quite a few quarries in here, and they just tend to disappear in there. We every so often catch the glimpse of the back of one of the bulls, but otherwise we can't see them. But these 2, on the other hand, are quite happy out in the open now this afternoon, busy grazing. You can see the youngster trying to keep up with mom. But as we pan out to the right, let's see, you might just be able to see the back of that black rhino. He was standing dead still with a couple of zebra just beyond him in the distance. Let's have a look here. No, I'm struggling to see. Might have just disappeared behind the back of another quarry. So 50, you commenting on these open areas and just how beautiful they are. I cannot agree with you more. The lovely Limbombo mountain range in the background, or at least the start of. We spoiled for choice with both black and white rhino. I don't think you've been able to see the black just yet, but they are around. But there are some really stunning vistas here in this part of the reserve, with the mountains and obviously the game that comes with it. Just watching those 2 white rhino, mom, and quite an old looking calf. Just judging by the size of it, almost about half the size of mom, maybe about 2-3 years old. Busy grazing this afternoon. Not too phased by anything really. Just those ears, like we've spoken about before, constantly listening out for maybe a potential threat, or if those black rhino come running around. When we initially saw them, it was the black rhino mom who chased that bull, which is what alerted us to their presence. And we haven't been able to see her or a youngster again, but just the bull who's in here somewhere. We'll keep searching. But following these 2, that lovely light that's catching them this afternoon as the sun slowly starts to disappear to the west. Unless you're asking if white and black rhino ever breed together. Not that I know of. I've never seen or heard of it. They, both after different things, very different in stature and build. Like you see there in picture, white eating grass, black rhino, their habitats are very different, so they're out in the open. Rhino tend to stick to the thickets, where they browse on twigs and leaves, etc., of things like sicklebush and tambuertes. But no, I've never heard of that. I could be wrong. There might be a case of it somewhere, but I've never heard of white and black rhino breeding. I'm going to try and see if we can't get another view somehow of that black rhino for all of you watching. Can hear a couple of crowned lapwings in the background. Also, as it starts to cool off, birds become a lot more chirpy. Things like those oxpeckers could help us find those black rhino. Again, they've got that very harsh, scratchy call that they use as they fly from rhino to rhino, or like we were earlier with zebra. But I'm going to see if I can't find that black rhino for you.
black rhinos. How good to see black rhinos. And we got a hippo. And if the two animals that I would say are dangerous to deal with are rhinos and hippo, the hippo is equally dangerous as a rhino. And here we got on some amphibians, the hippopotamus outside water, and that's why sometimes or always we call hippos semi-aquatic. So they're either in water or on land, depending on the day, or depending mainly on their needs. Let me put it that way, depending on their needs. Are you hungry? Is it too hot for you? Do you want to have a drink? So those are the three main factors that will determine. Maybe add the fourth one, their safety. Hippos know that should they have any concern, because once in a while we have seen wild dogs, we have seen lions, we have seen, other predators like hyenas also coming for hippos. They know that one of the best havens or one of the best grounds for them to fight back is in water. In the village I come from, because we got hippos not very far from where we live, we have always been warned when we were small kids, make sure you don't go to get or fetch water very early, because that's the time the hippos are coming back to their homes, and also don't go at dusk, because it's also the same time they're leaving the water or water point or the habitat to go start hitting, be it a river or some kind of well or some kind of a spring or even a lake. So in the middle of the day, when it's too hot, we were told that time chances are the hippos are in water and you're fine to do what you want. But the two windows that you don't go out on your own, and if you do, go as a group. Big time grazers, hippos. Tell me, you'd like to know how much hippos weigh. Hippos are heavy animals, and you have seen, of course, depending on the species, anything from 1,500 kilos, sometimes up to 3,000 kilograms. So we're talking of 3,000 pounds to almost 5,000 plus pounds. Of course, again, we have these hippos, we have another type that we call the pygmy hippo, but in general, that's weight. The males or the bulls weigh lots of kilos. We have seen people in certain areas when way back people would hand a hippo to feed on. It was a big feast, and you'd get like a whole village coming out to feed on a hippo, because there's what we still call a human-wildlife conflict, and it happens once in a while. If they don't have enough food, they'll come out, and sometimes they end up in people's gardens, and they'll come either eat maize or eat potatoes or vegetables in the gardens, and people may want to fight back. And when that happens, and unfortunately hippos do not make it, then the people will end up eating them. Of course, it's not allowed, but we have seen that happening once in a while. It's always a very big feast to feed, especially on one huge hippo bull. So the tree line you see there, that is the Mara River, and you notice very, very carefully and very cleverly, she is not eating very far. I think it's more of a she from the river, because if anything would go wrong, it will take her a couple of seconds to turn around and boom, splash back in the water, and whichever animal will be like, bring it on. So it gets a little darker. They have been known sometimes to venture anything 15, 20 kilometers away from the water to feed. And if you look at the river very closely, right adjacent to the river, they're very clever animals. They do not touch that part, and we think they always try to protect their ecological niche. They want that habitat. They don't want any erosion in that particular area. So they'll always try and eat far away from the hippo. All right, hippo, bon appetit as I move on.
So I have a question for all of you, because you're so attentive, more attentive than I am most of the time. Have we ever seen Susan's herd and Alicia Keys' herd interacting together before? Because the herd is now one and the same. They're even feeding together. So they're on either side of the road, but it's quite fascinating. Really interesting. And I mean, elephants are fairly social creatures, but normally they keep to themselves, especially in this area. It's not like they're doing massive migrations. And then, of course, things change slightly, where they put aside their differences and move together as one unit. But anyways, it's quite fascinating. Look at the two little ones that you said, yeah? Sorry. Look at how crazy this is. Anyways, if you can just hashtag Wild Earth, if we have seen them together, maybe even before we started noticing individual. Susan, I'm watching you. I'm just watching. She's going behind the car. Look where she's going, straight to the little ones, because she just can't help herself. Hello, girl. No, we're watching the little ones. Don't chase them away. No. She's come, she drives me insane sometimes, this elephant. Susan, stop it. I'm not playing with you anymore because you were very rude. I'm done being your friend if you're going to act like this. Go away. She needs to learn some manners. To think I've offended her. Apparently I offend a lot of elephants and people. Taylor, you must really watch your tone, is probably what Susan is saying. Anyways, she's a good auntie, though, as you can see. She really does like the little ones, and I think she's just protective over them. I'm excited for her to have her first calf. I'd love to see how she reacts and nurtures it. I think she's going to be a really good mother, and I think she'll probably settle down after that. But there are just elephants coming out from all over, so I do apologize if I sound distracted. I'm literally just trying to look all the way around the vehicle. Here she is, going in to say hello to the rest of the herd. My dad also finds it quite funny that I decided on the name Susan. Breakups. Oh, joy. Sorry, everybody, for the breakups. Classic story of my life. But anyways, my dad thinks it's quite funny that I chose the name Susan. Not like that, but he calls... Who does he call Susan? I think he calls my mom Susan. That is the sound of a very angry elephant or a dinosaur. I'm not sure which one it was. That's normally what you hear when, two herds come together that don't quite like one another. Everyone's picked up the pace slightly, and now this herd has now changed direction. Look at that. At the sound of the trumpet, they were moving towards where the other herd was, and now they've gone, and crossing the road and going completely in the opposite direction. Interesting. There also could have been a hyena or something lurking in the grass. Okay, most of you are saying that you don't recall the herds being together. I also can't say that I've seen them. Maybe it was just a coincidence this afternoon that they happened to meet, but they seemed quite happy with one another, other than that obvious trumpet and the immediate change of direction of where they were feeding. Fascinating. Fang, not Fang. I keep wanting to say Fang, and it's not Fang. Alicia Keys, she's obviously part of a much bigger herd. So I think maybe this lot is like, we're not going to take our chances there. And Susan's herd has got lots of little elephants in there too, although I wouldn't want to get into a fight with Susan. I'd probably apologize first. She's quite sassy. Just a smidgen. There she is. Where are you going? Louie, I have no idea what my mother, Bossy Donna, would say to Susan. I would love to take them on safari here in Pridelands and show them these elephants. My dad often tells himself when the elephants come close to the car, the one time he just went, just sit quietly and don't move, which I laughed at. And my mother is petrified. She loves elephants, but through binoculars. Like, she doesn't want to be close to them at all. I don't blame her. Lots of people are naturally scared of elephants. They're big animals. You can see they're all just, hiding behind all the trees. But I'm just going to stay where we are for now. They've now changed direction again and should pop out onto the road at some point. I don't know what my mother would say. She'd probably go, stop it. That's normally what she says to me, so stop it, don't film me, I don't want to be on Instagram. Anyways, there they go, back to the other side of the road. I'm going to get into trouble. Oh, goodness. But yeah, it's been a long time since I've taken my parents on safari. And now that I know so many more tricks, it's actually been years. I think the last time I took them on safaris when I was still working at SABI Earth Lodge. Oh, little elephant, what happened? Did you fall over? Shame. Did you trip? Look at that older one, ran over though to see if it was okay. So this is why I really love elephants. It's honestly, it's like a human family. They're just so intelligent. They have the same family sort of ties, and when somebody trips and tumbles, there's always there to immediately try and catch you and make sure that you're all right. Or if you're in my family, laugh first and then ask if you're okay later. Here comes one more little one. Kristen, I cannot hear anything that you're saying. The question that came through was why and elephant. That's what I heard. Sorry. I still can't hear. I've now got the phone up in the air, hoping that I can hear it. Okay. Tom, why? I'm not sure why or what or how, but I'm sure it's a valid question, and my answer is going to be yes. I don't know what the question, because of the way that it is. That's the reason, and that is the answer. I apologize. We've been struggling with signal most of the day. Seb, I want to try roll forward. Shall we try this? Sorry, that was very abrupt. I didn't think we were going to quite take off at that speed for a roll. Now I'm doing this to try and get signal. I don't know if it works. I've also lost the call. I don't know why I'm holding it up anymore. Hi, Susan. I'm going to stop here. You'll notice don't let Susan come close to the car anymore. Let me lay down so Seb can get comfortable, and then I'll get an audio breakup. Sorry, Kirsty. And now I might be able to hear you. No, still nothing. But it's cool. Susan will hopefully just become more and more relaxed again and ease into things. She's already much better behaved, other than her trying to sneak up from behind the car this afternoon. I could just hear these footsteps, and they were getting quicker and quicker, and I turned around and I was like, Susan. What are you trying to get? Must be after some roots of sorts. Here comes a little one. See, they love her too, and they spend a lot of time with her. That's why don't teach them bad habits. Be a nice aunt. Show them how to respect us, and we will respect you. I'm so sorry about the dial tone, the doodle-doo, doodle-doo, doodle-doo. Please say it one more time. Oh, Tom, I now know. Oh, sorry, Tom. We do that. We'll get more Reese to watch as well. So, Tom, essentially the elephant herd called the Alicia Keys herd, it's not an official name. It's just there's one elephant that has a huge tear in her ear. Perhaps someone can share a screenshot. And it looks like a keyhole. And then I thought I was quite funny. You know Alicia Keys, the artist? And then Ellie for Alicia Keys. I can hear you all roaring with laughter at how hilarious I am. Thank you very much, Sebastian. That's why you're my favorite person to work with, but don't tell anyone else. So, Thomas, if we see that elephant again, we'll find it. Listen, I'm open to suggestions for names of the herds. None of the names are actually official. We don't normally name elephants. It's just they've become some of our favorites. So if you've got suggestions, hashtag Wild Earth, let us know. I'm happy to call them something else. Susan, however, will remain Susan. That's just one of those things. We've got more females coming out of the bushes. We're going to try and follow the elephants as they might lead us towards the hyena den just before the sun sets.
Welcome back, everybody. We've repositioned, and we found Amber Eyes as well. There she is. She's the one having a groom off here with this little cub. Cleaning each other, going, sorry, I didn't mean to give you a scratch on your nose earlier when you were eating. She's got quite a dark nose and very dark amber eyes, hence the name. I'm sure we'll get another view of her shortly. We just had to reposition. We've come around the termite. There we go. There she is. So obviously other vehicles wanting to come in to the sighting. Just made some space towards the side, and we also wanted to get a view of the big and fearsome and ferocious Mohawk. Here he is. Are you ready for him? There he is. A bit standoffish today. He was giving his right front paw, oh, there we go, a proper little licking. He's injured it. We don't know what happened. But it bodes well that there is grooming taking place. Claire, you know, the general sort of idea is that when the Avoca males sort of dominated this pride, the young Unkuhuma male, he's siblings with a couple of the young females in the pride. He was obviously ousted for a period of time, and then he came back. Do you remember? He kept coming back with the Talamati or the Mangeni males. Do you remember that story of him coming in and having that sort of coalition with the Talamati male, and then the Mangeni males were in, and then eventually the Avocas put their foot down, and he got chased, the young Nkuhuma male, and the female went with him. That young lioness separated from the pride with him, and she was gone for quite some time. Maybe some of you out there can tell me exactly how long. It's got to be at least since last year, August, September, I'm not sure. She's been coming and going for the last few months. So we don't really, I mean, we can discern a difference between these lions, but lions are very, very good at picking up differences in individuals. They know who's who through a smell point of view, and there's also an image to them that they can recognize. And he obviously doesn't recognize, or they don't recognize her as a pride contributing member. And so every time she tries to come in, they have a difference of opinion. And when it comes to differences of opinion in lions, it's not the same as you and I. We can sit down and discuss it. There's a little bit of aggression that takes place. So that is the train of thought at the moment. It's possible that she might actually get integrated in eventually, you know, but maybe the males also feel a little bit hard done by that she left as a contributing pride member and haven't been providing him with the taxes that a pride of lions is entitled to give to dominant males, taxes of food and provisions. And so he's basically said, I don't know you. Who are you? You smell of somebody else. You smell of somewhere else. And it's possibly that foreign smell that encouraged or has created the animosity between them. I'm not 100% sure, but after chatting with a few guides, that seems to be the sort of story. But I'm open to your opinions from all of you out there, viewers who've been watching the show for so long and also know the movements and whereabouts of these lions. Tell us, what do you think? #WildEarth. Do you agree with me? Do you have other opinions? Please feel free to send it through. Tag me on Twitter. I can read those later. We're all allowed our own opinions, obviously, out in nature. Nothing is hard and cold. Everything has differences of opinion, and it's always nice to hear those.
Welcome back, everybody, to Beyond Panda, where we've actually managed to catch up with the other species of rhino, the black rhino who you see in picture. Only that one saddle that you can see, but have a look how he lifts his head there. Typical black rhino behavior, if they hear something or smell something, to lift their heads like that and see if they can't gauge what it is. It is an incredible distance away from us, which is probably why it's allowing us to view it for as long as we have. and it was actually, we spoke of them earlier, the red-billed oxpeckers that alerted us to its presence. They kept on landing in a certain spot, so we came to a higher position and we managed to catch it. You can see how it sticks out with that little bit of light on its back. A couple of red-billed quelea flying off in the distance that you saw now to the right. But yeah, the differences in species we saw, and quite nice to now see as it lifted its head, the one saddle versus the two of the white. But this chap is just standing like a statue. There were a couple of zebra that walked past it earlier and again lifted its head like it did now, but then puts it back down, and we saw it almost looked like a puff of dust coming up from behind it just now, but that was it marking or scent marking. It will defecate and then spray urine on bushes and things like that, scrape its back legs, and then walk along its boundary or its territory. But it's remained frozen in that spot for quite some time, maybe a little bit shell-shocked that it got chased by that female. But have a look now as we pan out. The most beautiful backdrop as well in this afternoon light. And just, yeah, it's back that stuck out there that we could see now. We were actually quite lucky. And often it's things like those red-billed oxpeckers that can help us quite a bit in a search for something like a black rhino. White rhino have moved slightly off further to the left. Holistic is asking what I think is the most powerful animal out there in terms of, sure, where we are. I'd probably say an elephant. A big elephant bull with big tusks, something that weighs 5 or 6 tons, is probably high up on the list of, if not the most dangerous out here. If you catch one, maybe if it's in must, full of testosterone, it can do some serious damage. I'm sure that you've maybe seen a couple of videos holistic of elephant bulls and even matriarchs that have gouged things like buffalo, sometimes even toss them in the air. So yeah, I'd probably say they're the most dangerous out here. There, now that we're on the white rhino, you can see it's got 2 saddles on its back, which is one way of differentiating. If you're out here just scanning with your binoculars and you just see the backs, if you can't see the head, if perhaps they may be both feeding, is one way to tell the difference. Whites are the majority always down. That's why they've got that big muscle mass behind its head to help lift it. Oak Tree just made the comment and said when he was younger that it was the colour. He thought black rhino were black. That would tell him now he has to rely on guides to tell him. They are slightly darker than white rhino, but not sort of black and white and white's white. But there are those differences that if you are lucky enough to see them up close, like you do this white rhino now, it's got that very long square lip, those 2 saddles on its back, and I'd say a little bit bigger than the black rhino, slightly more compact. But often they'll go and lie in a bit of a mud wallow, and then they are rather black, very sort of dark, and it can be quite confusing if you see them from a distance. So we're always here to try and help and tell you the differences and point them out to you, but even we can get it wrong sometimes. We see something in the distance, we shoot from the hip and say it's a black rhino, and then on closer inspection it's a white, or the other way around, which is always a treat. But both of them, I think, now are facing west, just appreciating, like we are, the sun off to our left-hand side as we sit here. I can now confirm for you that black rhino has disappeared. So we were actually quite lucky to catch a glimpse of it while it stood still for us. And what I think I might do now is head back towards the area where we saw those lions earlier and see if they aren't out in the open. Perhaps they haven't come down for a bit of a drink, or if Mom has come to join them.
Welcome back, everybody. We've got Mohawk in the throes of giving himself a solid little bath. We've got a couple tweets that have come through. Thanks, Beck. Beck's comment is, we were talking about why have the evokers not allowed this female in, or tolerated her. And Beck has said the evokers are sexist and misogynistic. Question mark. Another one from Sarah Katarina. Evoker Coalition's male, Mohawk is with the Unkum Pride. Yes, she is. The third one, Giraffe Girl. You said that the girls are accepting of her. The girls have no issue with her. They know her very well. She was ID'd mating with Mohawk. So was she? I didn't know that. I know that one of the younger lionesses was mating with Mohawk recently. It would be very easy to see because she's got such scarring on her back legs. It would be very easy to know who it was. The way she responded to him this morning was not a positive one. But if that is the case, it also begs the question as to what would happen if she does come into estrus. And I think I guessed this morning and said that if she does come into estrus, all of his mindset towards whatever he's thought of her will change because his sex drive will be overwhelmed, and that's all he'll want to do. We forget things when certain things outweigh our problems. So it's nice to discuss all of these things, everybody. It's nice to... We can never be 100% sure, and until we see how he behaves with her again, I don't think he's really going to catch up with her because she's got 4 very strong working legs. Beck is having a little chuckle. Very good, Beck. We've always got some wonderful info about all the big cats, not only in Djuma but in the Masai Mara. It's nice to have these discussions. It's nice to get your opinions, everybody. I mean, often things that I talk about are my opinion. There's a lot of fact-based stuff or things I've seen for myself, but opinion is enormous, isn't it? You might hear a vehicle. I just joined in the sighting by another vehicle. They're coming to get a shot of this wonderful male lion. If you've never seen a male lion in real life, everybody, it is a must-see. An absolute must-see. And when they're lying down like this, they are impressive. But when they walk up to you and past your car, your heart does a little bit of a flutter in your chest. BK and I were wondering before you came back to us towards the degree at which they groom themselves. I like to groom their lower back. I never understand it. Suraj, you want to know if lions eat medicinal plants when they're feeling ill? I'm not sure, but they do get certain minerals out of rumen content. When they feed on an animal, they will get some of the stomach content. There's no doubt about that. We often see lions and leopards eating buffalo dung, licking it, eating it, rolling in it. And for the most part, big cats will eat grass to cause themselves to regurgitate. So it's a bit of a purgative, I suppose, to get the fur balls out with all that grooming. But I've never actively seen. There's that paw of his. Look how swollen it is. Oh, looks like a bit of a bite mark there, doesn't it? That's what Darkman's foot looked like. Now, I've never actively seen a lion eating any other vegetation other than grass, but I have seen them eating buffalo dung as well as certain parts of the rumen content. And no doubt there's bacteria in there, microorganisms that benefit their gut, but I've never seen them actively searching out any plants.
Is there a way we can reposition better for you at the back? I'm fairly sure.
Okay, well, we're going to continue to sit here with this male lion who is giving himself a thorough cleaning.
My raptor here is also grooming herself. It's quite some time since I asked you a question, and you'd maybe help me identify which raptor this is, and I'm sure I'll get the fast answer. Hashtag Wild Earth. Who do you think this is? The lions are grooming themselves, and this particular raptor is also doing the same. Grayish, very hooked beak, a bit yellowish, big eyes. Look at the eyeball there. Some wind blowing behind the head. Who do you think this is? Hashtag Wild Earth on Twitter. I'll be very happy to know it's a raptor. It's a bird of prey. They'll feed on other smaller birds. They could even get other small reptiles like lizards, geckos, agamas. Rochelle, you said red spotted eagle. Not really, but for an eagle, I'll give you some good marks. I'll tell you later how many marks I've given you, but just to say it's an eagle, you earn yourself some very good marks. Keep trying, ladies and gentlemen. Tell me, who do you think this is? Tweet. They'll also, get chameleons, sometimes big insects, but in general, they're raptors, which would mean so let's keep trying. It's an eagle. It's good to know. Look at the tip of the beak, very sharp, pointed. So look at eagle. Not really, but all of you are getting very close. You're also getting very, very close. And I'll give you the first letter of the name. It starts with the letter T for tango. I'm sure that should give it away. We have the light on the wrong side, but it's not very bright as it was before. But the first letter for the name of this raptor is letter T for tango. Heidi, very well done. Good to hear your name again, Heidi. It is a tawny eagle. Well done. It's a tawny eagle. Sometimes we'll always confuse them with a steppe eagle, but this one, from where she's perched and looking at the gap below the eye that doesn't stretch all the way, this is a tawny eagle. Very good hunters. And you see them how they bring down small birds. You'll be surprised. They have been known to eat, pretty small little babies of scrub hares. Anything mammoish, any small mammal they would get, or they would be able to catch, they'll just kill it and grab it and take it up the tree. The last one I saw was a long time, where I saw one snatching a baboon that had a baby scrub hare, and this tawny eagle just flew, and without warning the baboon, using her talons, just pulled up the baby hare from the baboon. The baboon couldn't believe it, seeing the eagle flying away with its kill. They blend in so well in the trees, and you can tell from there they would easily hide. And you can see how she keeps turning her head, looking around for any possible movement of any mammal in the ground for them to pick up. Sometimes they even go for rats or mice. Beautiful sky there in the background. And that's the very famous, sorry about that, friends of ours coming out from a game drive. I stayed on the wrong side of the road because I thought if I would have gone closer, she would have flown away. But she looks very calm. Some of these raptors or birds, when you go closer to them, is when they take off. All right, I just want to wish her some food, and it's another vehicle friend of ours again from a drive, and wish her some good luck, and hopefully she is going to catch something for herself for dinner tonight. JK, sorry about that. And you're asking about my favorite pride of lions, and you're talking about the sausage tree pride. Well, I'll tell you what. I'm making plans with my friend Bunge here, who is on the camera today, that maybe next week we're going to venture in that area and find out how they're doing. The last time I spoke to a friend of mine, a game warden in that particular region, he told me he thinks Kingtail is pregnant, and if that should be the case, that should be very good. He told me he thinks Kingtail is pregnant, and she is still in charge of that particular pride. But I'll tell you, so far so good, and that pride, the whole number, including last week on Friday, has been accounted for. All right, it's cooling off now, and could be a good time to look for some active cats, like the lions we saw before, the lionesses we saw before. Just first stop here and investigate a bush here that I've always seen some animals, and you never know as I get my far lookers to investigate.
Thanks, Gigi. Well, we are still with the evoker male. He's calmed down a bit. Look how his belly is far fuller than the females were, so whatever they caught, he definitely got the lion's share. Oh, definitely got the lion's share of it. We're going to reposition shortly to go get some delicious light on the rest of the pride. So it looks like his activity has slowed down. He was up grooming for this whole time, and I was saying before, I'm always quite perplexed as to what the importance is of these lions licking their back all the way down. Some serious stretches, and you could see he was uncomfortable doing it, pushing with his feet and his right front paw being in quite a bit of pain. But back to sleep. He's going to lie there until the pride gets up and starts moving. He'll hear them. Ears tuned. Okay, when you come back to us, we'll probably be in another position.
Welcome back to And Beyond Pinda, everybody, where we spoke about Rhino appreciating and enjoying a sunset. Those three youngsters that we were with earlier, those male lions, have two now come out into the open to enjoy the sunset. To our left-hand side, you can see that lovely little bit of golden light hitting them from the side. You just see the two in picture. The third is lying a little bit further left of that fever tree that you see next to it. Tails still flicking every so often, a bit of a ear twitch. But I can imagine now they're starting to, get a little bit worried about where Mom is. She's been gone the entire morning. She hasn't been seen with them all day. But they are slowly but surely getting to that age where they will get kicked out of the pride by the dominant males and then have to become nomadic. But have a look at that. They look like such characters. As soon as there's a sound or something like that, their ears immediately hone in on it. We spoke about their big paws now that we can see a little bit more clearly. And again, just their age. That one that's relying on the right, you can see those spots on its back leg, which is an indication of just how young they are. just out of picture behind them is another set of people watching them, and I think they keep looking back over at them, probably snapping away, trying to get a lovely little backlit shot of these youngsters. But they've got such characteristic little faces, and you can see their manes starting to develop. They've still got quite a way to go before they get those really big, dark black manes. There we go. Doesn't look like they're dying of hunger. Still have relatively full bellies. If that chap lies down, he's going to disappear completely. Gone. And it's amazing. You wonder how many times you drive around wherever you are in a game reserve and you drive past something like that. We're lucky because the one is now still out in the open, but the other two, if we didn't know they were here, we could potentially drive straight past them. And you can see they've come all the way along the dam wall to where they are now. That's why we're lucky enough to have this chap facing us. And we've pulled off to the side of the road, so it could still come there. The left-hand side is quite a steep embankment, which they could probably walk down if they wanted to, but just enjoying the last little bit of sun this afternoon. But also this is the time when youngsters, I mean, they still are really young, year and a half, they're still quite playful and a little bit more energetic than the older members of the Pride, who were seen yesterday in this vicinity, so I'm not too sure of their whereabouts. I'm sure they'll meet up during the course of the evening at some stage. It would be interesting to see where they all end up in the morning, because as we've driven around, you've seen all those zebra and impala that were making a bit of a racket now behind us as they came into sight of these three youngsters. And those impalas have since left. Looked like it was warming up for a yawn there. And if it does, you'll be able to see now just how big its teeth are already for his age. Ian, you're asking how close we can get to lions. We obviously keep a very safe distance from them. Where they were lying earlier, we were a little bit closer to them just purely because we couldn't see them. And it sometimes gets to the point where we would never do that, but you have to, if you're driving in long grass, you get to the point where you're so close that they get up and move just because you can't see them. But at a distance that we are, this is about, I'd say, 40 meters, probably closer to 40 meters from us, and they're more than comfortable. If they wanted to, they'd probably get up and walk straight past us. But that's, more than comfortable. If they are moving, we try and stick sort of well clear of them to not disturb any hunting efforts, but they have slunk it off back down the side of this watering hole. What I might do now is just reverse back a little bit further to the left and see where they end up this evening.
Wild Earth relies on support from viewers like you to carry on broadcasting our daily live shows. A small donation goes a long way in helping us on our mission to connect the world with nature. Please visit our support page to see how you can help and become part of the Wild Earth family.
Now, we've got a herd of elephants here, and I'm just trying to investigate what exactly is happening there, because earlier we had most of them with their trunks up and not sure what they're trying to sniff. And there's one male that is very vocal. You see that one there? And it was not happy with something. To me, that one looks to be in must. If you look carefully in front of the eyes, you see that. That's the female, though. But there's one male here that was very loud earlier and trumpeting. And at the same time we saw one male that was mating. See how they all go quiet. If the animals I respect in terms of communication are elephants. Very low frequency sounds that, a human ear will not pick. But the matriarch, for example, would pass a message and they'll all freeze, stop, don't move, listen. So all of a sudden they've gone quiet, but there's some sort of disagreement. And I'm not sure if two herds had met here and there was a little bit of bad blood between them, or maybe there could be a female in estrus here, and the male, according to the females here, he is not very much welcome at the moment. We have always seen that if a male comes that is enmeshed and ready and willing to mate, the females tend to be like not very accommodating for the first few days. Janice, I agree with you. They got an amazing tusk. And look at the size. Bungi will show you, Janice, some of the tusks they got. And see how white they look. It's because of the rains we've been having. But either way, they are huge. Massive sizes. All those are girls, and in general, Janice, you notice males will have bigger tusks than females for the obvious reasons of fighting or defending the herds. Or sometimes you've seen them using the same tusks to bring huge trees down to feed on. Very rarely you'll notice or see an elephant bring a tree down for no apparent reason. But currently, with some short rains around, they're mainly feeding on the grass because it's quite green and very nutritious. You can see like that one there in the middle, just like how you'd get the spaghetti using a fork, approaching the grass and straight to the mouth. Very nice. I think everything is under control now, and whatever was the issue, it must have been contained, and I would want them to rest that way, peacefully and happily.
Welcome back, everybody, to NBN Panda, where this trio, or this group of young male lions, these brothers have all settled down now in the bottom of this dried up watering hole. The last little bit of the sun has disappeared beyond the horizon, and as we've been sitting here, there have been quite a few bats that have been flying overhead, maybe sort of sussing out insects that are flying from these fever trees above us. But every so often, and even when the bats fly past, they'll, almost like bird watchers, they'll sit and watch these bats fly overhead, and it's quite amusing to watch. They never get close enough, the bats, to the lions for them to react sort of viciously or anything like that, but it's amazing to watch them when they glance up like that. It's probably my favorite thing to see, when either almost like a leopard before it climbs a tree, it will glance up like that, or lions like this will glance up. Still all very young, all very curious. I see they're still twitching, tail flicking, and even that sort of twitch on the back. You see the bat come into picture there now, that they every so often will glance up at. And I don't know if they moved further down to get away from whatever it was that was irritating them around the ears of flies, or little biting flies perhaps. But it doesn't look like they've offered them any respite this afternoon. It's still quite irritated.
I'm not going to move it, right? We got an aardvark. Okay, this is brilliant. We were just saying the temperatures now are perfect. Absolutely perfect for the little guys. And not even 3 minutes later, there you go. Oh, man. And again, this area that we're working in is so critical for the survival of these animals with this long grass and the termites that are dependent on the grass, which are what these aardvark are feeding on. So we're just going to give it time. I'm not going to try to approach closer because the wind is, you can see the grass is barely even moving there. There's just such a gentle breeze that I'm just worried if I start the engine and we move closer, it picks us up and gallops off. They've got a good turn of speed on them. I'm just super chuffed and excited that we got this now, man. Oh, wow, sirs. Yes, at last. But just hold on to your pants, guys. This is the starting point. We need the other animal with a double A at the start of the name. We need the odd wolf. But we'll get it. We'll get it. I just need time, that's all. And what's interesting is there's hardly a bird there. Normally you get these birds, these little groups of birds that forage around after them. I'm not even seeing a bird there, which is very interesting. So I don't know quite what's going on there. But nonetheless, it is so cool to see this little guy. Yeah. What do they say? How do you find an aardvark in the long grass? Satisfying. Okay, I was laughing at that. All right. Kathy says, it reminds her of a kangaroo and a jackrabbit that mated. Kathy, I'll take your word for it. I've never seen either of those mating, but like I said, I'll take your word for it. Oh, I'm so chuffed about this. Oh, fantastic, man. It's just always so rewarding seeing these like really strange little creatures. Well, not so little. I mean, that's a big chunk of termite meat that. I mean, they essentially exclusively termite eaters. And I think I mentioned it the other. Yeah, I did. A friend helped me out with the scientific name, Cucumis humifructus. It's actually a subterranean, one of the cucumber family subterranean species that's actually been found a couple of times in aardvark droppings. So the million-dollar question there is, do they actively seek out this fruit and feed on it? Or is it incidental that this thing's growing underground, there's seeds there, and as it's ingesting a whole pile of termites and sand, it ingests these seeds as well? But yeah, that's Cucumis humifructus. But look how difficult that is to see, eh? And not a bird in sight. I'm really fascinated by that. There we go, there you go. Oh man, what a lucky sighting. And that, okay, to give you some idea, that is 100 meters from us, maybe 120 meters from us, 110 meters. And like I said, you can see the grass is hardly moving, such a gentle breeze coming from right to left that I'm just worried if I start the vehicle and try approach closer, it just runs off. And my policy, as far as possible, is as little disturbance in animals, whatever you're watching. OBS asked, can I describe the aardvark size? Those of you who may know, okay, this is a rough estimate. So if any of you know bull terriers or have any bull terriers at home, a Staffordshire Terrier, that's the kind of size range you're looking at. From like a smaller one would be on the Staffy size, a larger one would be on a bull terrier size, like a large bull terrier kind of thing, roughly. And there's the first bird. Okay, who is that? That's a wattled starling. Yeah, boy. Sorry, I can't even see that far. I'm looking at the screen next to me. That's a wattle starling that's popped in there. Yeah, and it's just gone down. Exactly like how they're following the aardvark around, how we were saying. So as that little guy's going and digging along there, so these birds come along and then they capitalize on all the little critters that get unearthed. Because remember, these birds will not just be going for termites and ants and things. And that's, the termites are the primary predator, particularly one called a northern harvester termite. These are nice big chunky beasts, and so he'll be going through 50, 60,000 of them in a night. Well, when we say in a night, the time he starts foraging to the time he finishes foraging. But he'll, at the same time, while he's digging up centipedes and frogs, and also, and there's tons of frogs out here. Where that aardvark is, there'll be stacks of frogs in this environment. Beautiful little things called mottled sand frogs, Turner, Cryptotis, and Tremelo sand frog, that's the name. And then also bushveld rain frogs, Breviceps, Aspersus, lots of them out here. But anyway, as he's unearthing his termites that he's looking for, he'll be digging up these other little things as well, and that's what the birds are going for. And termites, I mean, the birds would love a good termite snack. Man, what an afternoon. Yes, I'm so pleased. So now we just need that $1 million aardvark, but we'll get it. What a pleasure watching these things. I always think that they always remind me like that of a mobile termite mound. It's like you've got a small termite mound that's just moving by itself through the grass. Look at that. Occasionally you get the ears sticking up. It's like... And again, those ears are super important, not just for locating prey. I mean, their primary sense for locating prey is their sense of smell, their nose. They got this incredibly long, awesome, super sensitive, soft... their nose is... I'm just like picturing it now. It's so soft and squishy and tender on the end. It's just like their nose is just beautiful. It really is. And they use that as their primary sense organ for locating termites, just sniffing them out. But their ears, you've got to wonder, why on earth have they got such long ears? And yeah, everyone says, all the better to hear you with. But it actually is. Because in these environments, they can fall prey to leopards, lions, things like that. And those ears are crucially important. Sometimes, in fact, when we have guests out here, we actually walk Otwa. You'll be surprised how easily you can get close to it if you go really carefully, if the wind's in the right direction. But the sense you've got to be careful of are those ears. Those ears are long and big and broad for a reason. Their sense of hearing is really, really acute. And yes, this is just awesome. Not their sense of hearing is acute. The whole animal's cute. Good job, eh? I have something special for everyone, apart from the artwork. Okay, is everyone ready for this? Some say, and it's been rumored, some say he was actually raised in the wild by a pack of wild dogs. And he was actually feral for years and years and years before he was actually captured and tamed and turned into a guide. I would like to introduce you to Exhibit A. So this gentleman over here, here's my colleague Moritz. Moritz is going to be joining us on drives at Tswalu for the next couple of days. So he's going to be learning all the ropes and that. It's very straightforward. But he's going to be helping me out. And I'm not taking a breather, I promise you. I'm just going to be doing the afternoon drives from now on. Moritz is going to be like full on doing morning drives. He is an insanely good guide, like off the charts good, massive amount of experience behind him. And like I say, he was raised by a pack of wild dogs. Well, that's the story there. But anyway, everyone's saying hello and welcome Moritz. So there we go. You'll be seeing a lot more of Moritz over the coming weeks, but you won't get rid of me that easily, I promise you. It's like all sorts of crazy things. But we're going to carry on fun and artful for you guys. So welcome, Moritz.
Guess what? You won't believe it, but we're still with the elephants. What a surprise. What is on her face? Is it a leaf? I thought it maybe a spider web. I thought she had an actual spider on her face, but that is not a spider. Maybe it's knobthorn flowers. Anyways, I can't really see what it is. But they have uprooted a sandpaper raisin tree, and this is all started by Susan. She started munching on it, and then a young elephant bull pushed her out of the way and then carried on, and now this big cow has ripped it right out of the ground. And elephants are quite partial to sandpaper raisin, especially at this time of the year, constantly crunching on the roots. I wonder if elephants eat the raisin fruit. I mean, it's quite small, but I'm sure it must be a nice little tasty treat. Although they'd probably just swallow it, hey, because most of the fruit is just a big seed or a stone. There's not much flesh to it. It's one of my favorite things to eat. I haven't eaten it for years, so I hope that I get the opportunity. Right now they don't have fruit on, obviously. They don't even have leaves. Yeah, they're quite nice. That's the equivalent of me using my foot and snapping it. Those tusks are so handy. Would you say handy or tusky? Those tusks are so tusky. I don't know. Sorry, I'm in a bit of a mood, as you can see. The hyperactivity version of Taylor is about to commence. So be prepared for fast talking and more nonsense than usual. But we won't follow this herd. Once they have moved away from us, we'll let them do their thing. I just got a message now saying that there is leopard audio west of HQ. Maybe we'll try and get along that side, but it could just be outside of our traverse. But it's not too far away from here, but we have got a bit of a roadblock, and if we have to go around, then it's going to take much longer. But we'll see. I didn't hear anything except the sound of my own voice and the elephants crunching on the trees. They pull that out quite easy, though. I don't think this particular tree has got a very deep root system, because they can pull that out without even doing much digging around it. Normally what you'll see is the elephants will be using their feet, and they'll be, swiping it back and forth, just loosening the soil and trying to expose some of the roots. And here they just grab hold of the stem and pull up, and, well, out comes the tree. But it is really, really, really awesome to spend some good quality time with elephants, because we've just been seeing them from the distance and not really interacting with them. Cat got my tongue? Yes, I have indeed been sneezed on by an elephant. Not for a long time. This was quite some time ago. One of my favorite things that have happened to me was being sprayed, I don't know if it was accidental or on purpose, by mud, by an elephant. This was also years and years and years ago. So that was quite cool. Oh, and then in the Mara, when was that? Maybe 2017 or 2018, when I was working for Wild Earth, and we were driving around in there, and I was in the marsh, I think, or on the marshy section in the triangle side of the reserve, and I was sitting with elephants, and there was a young elephant cow. It could have, who knows, maybe it was Susan. She's migrated all this way down. Joking, that she has not done that. But an elephant threw a piece of mud at me, so that was quite funny. So it happens. Wrong place at the wrong time. Or for me, it's right place at the right time. I think those are great experiences, but I think I've told a story before where some of my guests on the car that got covered in mud in my early guiding days were not very impressed. And I was like, I'm never washing this shirt again. But anyways, now I have to clean up a roadblock. Little elephant, if you could do me a favor and just drag that off to the right, that would be great, because otherwise it means tomorrow morning I'm going to have to get out of the car and move it. So this is what elephants actually do for fun, is they create roadblocks on the roads that we drive the most frequently. Thank you. Thank you so much. You're so kind. At one point it was really bad. I did just feel like I was part of the habitat management team. Right, I'm in two minds whether I'm going to zip on down towards the HQ watering hole to see if there's anything there. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. Jeopardy.
Welcome back to And Beyond Pinned, everybody, where these three young male lions are starting to get itchy feet. You can see they're all glancing at one another, glancing up at the bats. I'm not sure what you'd call the bat enthusiast version. The twitchers, you get the individuals who follow birds, but I'm not sure the ones who sort of will go far and wide for bats. But have a look at that one on the left. It almost looks like he's breaking his neck to watch them. Getting a bit of a crick in his neck, shaking it off there. But there are a couple of bugs and flies also hovering around their heads that they might be shaking off, but it's the bats that they keep glancing up at the heavens to. And now's when they're going to start getting more active. Hopefully Mom returns with news of dinner. This particular soil is dark just because it's an old dried up riverbed. That I'd have to double check the soil type for you, but it's just dried up river. So in fact the middle might be a little bit sort of, it's got cracks in it, so that mud is now dried up, but it's not quite clay soil. You see there's those cracks that we spoke of. That dried, but that's an old dried up watering hole. This a couple of months ago was completely full. Those lions would be swimming in the depths of that watering hole if if it was, but it's dried up significantly. And a little bit of a pan to the right. We're going to have to come back in the morning to see if Mom has rejoined her youngsters.
Well, yeah, just chance and see whether the lions will be around that area is possible. As our hyena is walking away from us, I think she knows it's getting dark, and either she won't go scavenging through the grass as she walks or as she moves. Now, from where we are, my guess is this one belongs to the clan that we call the Olololo clan. We're definitely very far from the North clan or the Happy Zebra clan. I would guess she's a youngster and a member of the Olololo clan. Most of them get active like now and through the night, looking for food, cackling, giggling, and calling each other, depending on what they find in the night. And of course, once they gang up as big clans, they have been known to snatch meals from lions. And this is very good. I've not been seeing so many hyenas here, and I'm very happy that you're excited, because Juma has doing very well at the clan there. I mean, at the den with the hyenas. And to see a hyena here, I think is, for us, is also something very exciting. In certain areas, the grass is quite high, especially with the North Clan that we all know, and we haven't ventured in that area. But slowly and surely, we shall be opening new grounds every other day, looking for old friends in the North Clan, finding out how they're doing, going to the Sausage Tree Pride, finding out how that pride is doing. It'll just be slowly and surely. To the left, we've got some elephants that I think they could be going to the trees that you see there, either for a quick drink or to change the menu that they've been eating the whole day. It's quite a big herd of them. And not the same herd we saw earlier that had a little quarrel. This is a different herd altogether. And they just walked slowly towards that lager there. HB, you'd like to know the elephants migrate across the river? Yes. They do not cover much ground in the migration like the wildebeest. Less, of course, but they always move from one area to the other. And you have seen them at very ease crossing the river, especially the Mara River. Unlike the wildebeest, that you see them sometimes just crossing without planning very well and crossing at very tricky places and breaking or fracturing their legs and then being caught by crocodiles or lions laying ambush to them. Elephants will first study the water, and they will have a feel of the depth of the river, and because they'll have babies like what you're seeing on your screen, HB, slowly and surely they will move, and you'll see them sometimes wallowing and turning around in the river as they cross. Should the babies try or struggle to do that, they get a little knock to get them the other side, either leg or the trunk, and they end up crossing. They do cross, yes, and they do migrate, but not as many thousands of kilometers they cover like the wildebeest or the zebras. Very white, clear tusks she got. And if you look carefully, you can tell the left one is much shorter than the right one. We have always had a theory here that depending on which is shorter than the other, you can say she is left-handed. Clever, pick the grass using the trunk, give it a small little knock. You can see the mammary glands there, and my guess is she could be the mother of that calf there. If you compare her to the height of that tree, you can tell she's a big mama. So that calf is definitely less than 2 years, not showing any sign of tusk, so she definitely must be a youngster. Well, keep eating elephants as I go around the corner to find out what else could be there.
Wild Earth relies on support from viewers like you to carry on broadcasting our daily live shows. A small donation goes a long way in helping us on our mission to connect the world with nature. Please visit our support page to see how you can help and become part of the Wild Earth family.
Welcome back to South Africa. Nkuhuma Pride are all very in the throes of preparing themselves for a night on the march. They like to clean up before dinner, get all those little spots in between the toes, back legs, front legs, back, neck, head, full body cleaning, and then stretch out those muscles as well. Never know when you're going to be hunting. And here we go. Here comes Amber Eyes. She's going to come and nudge head and say, come on, let's go this way. Or, yes, come on, Amber Eyes. This is exactly the direction we want them to go. Okay, she's going to have a toilet stop. Very important to check the wind direction, depending on if it's a number 1 or 2. It was a number 1, that's all right. So she's going north, back in towards Djuma. That is a very good sign. Now, this is what she's sniffing there. I'm almost certain this is where they killed the impala that they ate earlier today. There's nothing left. She just smelled. Okay, well, there we go. Amber Eyes, you just played me for a fool. But she set the intention for the direction, everybody. Maybe all she wanted to do is to see if maybe there was a scrap. Maybe there was a scrap of food left. Amber Eyes, have a look. There's a scrap. Have a look. You'll find it. Itchy head. Look at those teeth, everybody. She's quite coordinated, scratching and yawning at the same time. Definitely takes a bit of skill. Doesn't look very coordinated, does it? Oh, there's an itchy spot right there behind the ear. So she set the intention. The other lionesses are slowly starting to come in this direction. They're going to walk right past me. This looks like Ridge Nose. Is this? No, this is not Ridge Nose. I can't even tell anymore who's who in the zoo with these lionesses. They all look so similar now, especially in this light. You know, we do need Nikki Austin. Okay, well, this one's right in. Both of them are having a toilet stop in front of us. One in front and one on the left.
I'm just moving to Vuyatela at Gallagher.
Okay, they were just number 1s. That's a good sign. Goes to show how full they are, well, how unfull they are. There we go. Look at those teeth. You can see the direction. This is definitely the direction they want to head into. That is actually Chella on the left there, I'm pretty certain. I often confuse her for Ridge Nose. Oh no. Now number 2 is happening. Yes, we are in the sighting with other people. Here we get the lioness with all the injuries. Not that one, the one at the top. You can actually see how noticeable those injuries are. They're not debilitating injuries. Oh, duo downward-facing dog. Well done, girls. We are in the pounder seats here, everybody. How incredible is that to have lion pride walk either side of the car. It is definitely something that, if you've never experienced before, is quite profound, and we've positioned ourselves, haven't we, so beautifully, BK? Look at this young boy. You are becoming such a big boy, aren't you? You might notice some lights. People do use lights for spotlights out here. It is a part and parcel of what goes on with the game drive industry. If the lions do start hunting and any of that happens, lights will go off completely, everybody. There's a little bit of a scratch. It is amazing, everybody. It's amazing to be sitting here, just listening to the sounds of their footfalls. So even with their very padded feet, they still make noise. Hannah, they have gotten big, haven't they? They have gotten very, very big. And they continue to grow. It's hard to tell them apart now. You can definitely tell the two boys. They are far bigger. The two Ridge Noses boys. They're far bigger than the rest. Okay, I think I'm going to move, BK. Let's go. Let's get in front of them. Rest the pride. Got to pay attention to where you see the number 2s being deposited, because getting one of those on the wheel is a nightmare. Indeed. Okay, so they're going directly north. They're spreading out a little. Oh, sorry, Beaks. Spreading out a little bit on the left there. Let's try and get you one more view. Going in on this wonderful game path, straight across the road. I'll position ourselves here so that we can get them all coming across. How's that, Beaks? Let's just keep that car out. There we go. Here comes the cubs. One boy. This wonderful game path will take them straight up to Battalier Road. It's a game path we check regularly for lion tracks. Because you heard the noises as they walked past us, didn't you? Now, those are lions who walk pretty quietly, making such noise, so they will use game paths and roads for walking, because it makes their footfalls much quieter. And if you're a kudu or an impala trying to protect yourself out here, you are listening for just that. Okay, everybody, you're enjoying the color of the sky. Well, we're very fortunate to bring you these scenes.
The only thing that sees you is one lump, maybe the elephant.
We're waiting all day for the lions to move.
These guys are far too good. She's looking there. Yeah, far too good, you know, they can see it now.
Okay, so the dam cam reports a massive herd of buffalo. Now, these lions are heading north, not necessarily northwest. But if they pick up on the sounds of those buffalo, they will definitely move there. Just going to keep quiet, see if you can hear these little contact calls.
Daddy does walk at the back, so hunting for the their thing. But, you know, by himself like that other male.
It's just very soft little.
Yeah, they're calling.
I have food. I have food.
flying in the pride. In the pride. So you can tell the difference between them, yeah? She's got a blind eye.
Whole pride of lions walking across the road to the north. We'll be into exit frame in a moment. No doubt Mohawk is going to catch up with him eventually, limping along as he does. The whole pride's going to try and get as far away from him as they can. There's one more cub at the back beak, so we are going to manage to get another one. There he comes. It's going to time it just perfectly for the end of the show. And we do all really appreciate your candor and comments and questions this afternoon. Thanks for jumping on board our live safari coming to you from Djuma Private Game Reserve and all of the wonderful locations. We do thank you for your questions and comments, and we will see you tomorrow morning, same time, same place. Until then, good night and goodbye.
This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
The sun is out, even though it's hidden behind those clouds, and it's a little bit drier down here in Djuma. Thank goodness. Well, we're off on safari, aren't we? And we're going to have a wonderful one, so jump on board, everyone, for your live safari through the African bush. Good morning, and welcome. Like I said, the sun is out, but there's still a bit of mist. It's a bit chilly. It's 14 degrees Celsius, 52 degrees Fahrenheit out here on Djuma Game Reserve. But I'm certainly happy. Hi, everyone. It's me, Trishal, and I've got BK on camera this morning. Yes, I do. And I would love to hear from you. We're going to do a bit of a reversing safari today, at least just for the first few seconds, so I can get into position. This is going to be new, as I will now speak to you from the back. You can chat to us using the hashtag WildEarth or the YouTube chat stream or Twitch, whatever you like, and ask us your questions, give us your comments. We'd love to hear from you, and this is not working, so here we go.